The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 294. I am Trey with Ghost Tactical. I will be your captain during this flight tonight. We will probably experience some turbulence tonight, but we're going to get through this together. And you know what? If we go down, we're all going to go down in a blaze of glory. So we might as well just sit back. I have taken the seatbelt sign off. Feel free to browse amongst the cabin. Feel free, please annoy everyone else in the cabin. Let's have fun tonight. So we're gonna do this live on YouTube. If you're out there in the live chat, please say something. We don't know that you're out there unless you do. If you want to text into the chat, utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates at Aegis Gun Care. That phone number is 530-364-4678. Go check out aegisguncare.com. If you're a veteran, really anybody, but especially if you're a veteran and you're in that hole, you're in the darkness and you're looking for that light, call me, text me, email me 24/7. I cannot give you any medical advice, but I could be a pretty damn good ear and maybe help you, talk you through some stuff. More importantly, just listen. But if you are looking for someone that can get you towards some medical attention, remember two things. One, you are not alone in this fight. You have a lot of brothers out here that are willing and able to help you in any way possible. And two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So please utilize the Veteran Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255. Veterans, press the number 1. We are spotlighting, as always, the United States Marine Corps. If you have any questions on what it takes to earn the title United States Marine, see the website marines.com. And as always, I guess I can put this banner up here while we do this one. As always, we are a proud member of the Rapid Fire Radio Network and the Self-Defense Radio Network. Go check out all your favorite pro-gun, pro-2-way podcasts over at rapidfireradio.us and selfdefenseradio.net. If you're out there and you're looking for some really good deals, go check out Cape Gunworks. And they good people. It's always good people. More importantly, they have some really, really good deals over there. So go check out them and check out everyone over at Rapid Fire Radio Network. Faux show. Let me take this off of my ugly mug. What was that? Well, I'm not going to say that. So yeah, let's bring in my flight crew for the night. Co-piloting this. Well, I'll get to him unless my first flight attendant, my head flight attendant tonight from Anderson Manufacturing from Hebron, Kentucky. We got Kyle. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. Well,
I need a cup of coffee. Can you take care of that for me?
I wish.
Yeah.
I got my Coke here.
How about a Sprite? A Sprite Zero. Actually, if you guys, this is actually better than normal Sprite. So go figure. But yeah. How you doing, bud? Everything good?
Oh, everything's great. Just happy to be here. Thanks.
Glad to have you. Yeah, you guys just released a few days ago the new Cerakote of the month. This month it's Sandstorm, and if you are nostalgic like I am, as soon as you sent me that text, I was like, "That's insane." You want to explain this month Cerakote of the month?
Yeah, so basically, this Cerakote of the month, if you're familiar with Desert Storm era camis for U.S. Army, Marine Corps, pretty much all the branches, you're gonna love the Sandstorm. You get the complete receiver set, the ejection port cover, trigger guard, and the 15-inch handguard. And it's AM15, by the way. Forgot to throw that.
It is sweet. It is sweet. You know, you gotta love the old chocolate chip, man. I mean, there's just something about it that's just It's honestly my second favorite behind the Woodland. And I know a lot of people like the young guys. Did you guys have Woodlands, or were you already with the Marpat Digi?
I was already Marpat. That's
Yeah,
my
okay.
era.
So y'all never had any of the Woodland. I'm telling you, man, the Woodland stuff, I love it. Maybe I just because that's what we wore. I hold a very special place in my heart for the Woodland design, and I love it. Marpat's pretty sweet, but that Woodland, man, I'll always go down with Woodland for sure.
Oh yeah, Woodland's great.
Yeah. Our drink server flight attendant tonight from Arizona. So, guys, if you're out there and you need drink service, it starts now. And John, the soulless ginger bastard, will be handling the drink service tonight.
Yeah, we've got a few options here today. We've got a good slew of bourbons and other things. So just make sure that you hit that call button, and we'll be happy to help you out with that today.
Fantastic. Thanks for taking care of our wonderful guests on this flight tonight. And our co-pilot, shotgun rider, whatever you want to. I know I would love to see a co-pilot roll into the plane with a freaking shotgun or so. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? But our co-pilot tonight is from the great state of Texas. We're going to call him Lieutenant Dan Clovertack. What's up?
Roger. What's the vector, Victor?
That's right. Roger that, Millie Vanilli Chili Willy.
I'm tired of these mother frickin' snakes on this mother frickin' plane.
Exactly. You got a shotgun of the week for us, brother?
I got a little shotgun knowledge. Will that work?
Well, sure.
Did you know that once upon a time, the H&K name was on the Super Black Eagle?
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll bite.
No, at one time, H&K imported the Super Black Eagle for.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Now you know, and if you run across one in a pawn shop or a gun shop or somewhere, you might want to buy it.
I bet you that might be worth $1 or $2.
Just saying. I don't know how many people. A lot of folks, especially old timers and fuds that are really into shotguns, they prefer the H&K imported Super Black Eagles over the new ones. They say they shoot better.
Better made or what?
Yeah, they said that the recoil impulse is better.
Okay.
They point better. They just shoot better. But you hear that of a lot of firearms, right? The older ones are better. We all know that. They don't make them like they used to, right? Except for Anderson. They don't make them like they used to.
That's right. The interesting thing, and this goes across anything really, but I talked about this before, and it makes sense. I was watching something and they were talking about cars, right? And let's say it's a new model, an updated model. Okay, so like the Mustang, right? And they change body styles every 5-10 years or so. So let me ask you guys a question. This has nothing to do with anything. It's just that brought it up. Would you rather have the last model of the previous one or the first model of the new gen? You know what I'm saying? Like if there's like, let's just say an RX-7 and an RX-5, would you rather have the last RX-5 or the first RX-7? Kyle, yeah. To me, they figured out all the bugs by that last one. And yeah, it's kind of cool to have that first model, the new one, but now there's a whole new slew of bugs they're going to have to figure out. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
As someone that technically has the Forte GT before it was a Forte GT, right? Like, there's something to be said about having the first as well.
No, I'm just saying.
It's going to have the lower number, right? The lower production number. Later on, depends on what kind of vehicle it is. But if it's something that's going to, build any kind of a collectible value or anything like that, if it's taken care of, I think the lower production number vehicle would be probably more sought after. But it's going to depend. All things created equal. Well, all things created equal too, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Real quick, appreciate you, guy out there. $9.99 super sticker. Yeah, I love Apple. They take a cent from everything. That's why I go Android. They're not cheating me out of a penny every time I do something.
It's the worms and the Apple that end up getting that penny for whatever.
Yeah, because the worm, that little hole in the apple is worth a penny, apparently. But
Exactly.
yeah, it is what it is. But no, thank you so much, Guy. You guys know that we don't ask, nor do we encourage super chats or stickers, but they all go to sending care packages downrange to our guys over there and gals. So thanks for that. Let's run through our flight manifest real quick, if you will, and say hello. G Webs is out there. Said second thumbs up. Have a good show. Buck's out there. TJ's out there. I think TJ's got a link if you ever, he hadn't joined in months. I don't know why, but maybe he doesn't like us anymore. But he's out there. Defense Dad says range days, guns are scary. Yeah, they are. Liberty Seeker, that's a new one. I don't. Maybe you've been around before. I don't remember that name, but welcome to the dark side. We do not promise to make you any smarter. Only God, we only tried not to make you any dumber. Can't promise. But he says, "What's up from Long Island?" So what's up, Long Island? TJ says, when does the drink service start? Ginger is walking up and down the aisles right now with his mini skirt on. Don't judge. He's serving drinks. Like I said, guys out there. Chris from the 740 is helping out the family doing some stuff, but he's out there listening. That's dedication. That is dedication. He's with the family. Almost as dedicated as Kyle was at a wedding reception and probably got in trouble for that, but we appreciate it very much. Guy says Navy apparently has the digital camp day. My day was still dungarees. Dungarees. Wow. They were dungarees when I was in, but I don't know. The Navy probably has a digi now. They've got to have a digi pattern, I'm sure. Probably the blue and black one. Is that the Navy's new camo pattern?
Yes, it is.
I'm not gonna lie. It's not ugly. It's really not. It's not ugly.
Yeah, no, it's perfect for the sea.
It is. It's perfect for the seaman.
Sure is.
Yep, absolutely. Fucking squids. Screaming Skull Saloon's out there. What's up? Daniel God is my judge is out there. Let's see here. Daniel says they don't make men like they used to. That's very true. Like getting the last SIG versus the first new SIG. That exactly. Like I'd rather have the last model versus the new. I don't know, man. Let them work out the kinks, Let them work out the kinks. Let's see here. And 223 DMR's out there. What's up, homie? I have a question. Maybe somebody can answer it. I put a C4 transmission in my 88 Lincoln Town Car. It has an AOD in it right now. Oh, can I put a C4 transmission in my Lincoln? Clover's a Ford guy. Was used to be a mechanic for Ford, I believe. Lincoln's part of the Ford family. Can he put a C4 transmission in his 88 Lincoln Town Car?
That's a tough question. I mean, the short answer is going to be no. It's going to require
there might be a workaround or something.
Ooh, yeah. In order to get, you're going to have to go with a later model C4, and then when you do that, there's some electronic stuff that the 88 body control module and other things is not going to be able to handle. So you're looking at swapping some things out. I mean, short answer of can it be done? Yes. Short answer of can it be done easily? No.
Or cheaply.
Yeah, you can do pretty much anything. I mean, I tell the story all the time about the buddy I had that had the whatever the Back to the Future Toyota 4x4 was. You know what I mean? Remember
that was the Tundra before that, when it was used to be the same size as like the Tacoma, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was just a Toyota pickup back then.
It was basically the size of the Tacoma these days. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But anyway, he dropped a 350 and all off in that. That required chopping fender wells and a bunch of adapter kits and a lot of crazy stuff. So you can do anything, but yeah, it's not going to be done easily. Yeah.
Now, Guy out there says, just got the new Taurus GX4. Seems good. Put 100 rounds of American Gunner 115 grain through it. No issue so far.
Don't drop it.
I was going to say, I don't know if you are aware. There has been, under certain batch numbers and serial numbers, there has been a voluntary recall. That could be some issues on drop tests. Just saying, don't drop it. You might want to contact Taurus and find out what serial number ranges, and they'll take care of it. Okay, he says no, his is not on the recall list. Perfect. Just wanted, I didn't know if you were aware. We wanted to make that public service announcement, so we're good to go. All right. You guys know that every Thursday, Sunday, or Thursday, Saturday, and Monday, we have our pony polls over on our YouTube community tab. Let's go check out the pony polls from this week. The first one was last Thursday. It's got 1.5 thousand votes. In general, this is kind of a piggyback off of last week's show. In general, what are your favorite kinds of optics or sights? Kyle, you've got iron sights, a red dot, an LPVO, a scope, or prism. In general, what's your favorite kind?
I'm iron sights. Just start from the ground up
Yep.
with any weapon system. So,
yep, I understand that. Ginger, in general.
I'm gonna say either prism or red dot. They kind of vice versa for me because they're kind of the same but kind of not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So,
Now, do you have an astigmatism? I don't remember if you had one last. I think that was Chris that had one, wasn't it?
Chris has one. I kind of get the starburst, but not that
Okay.
bad.
Now, does
So
the
I don't
prism
have it bad.
help you with that?
Yes, prism helps
Okay.
really good well with that.
Good. All right. Roger, do you have a favorite in general?
I am iron sight man.
I am an iron sight guy too. I've got all these and I love all of these different kinds, but if I really had a choice, I'd still go irons.
In general, that was the question, right? Like
in general, yeah, absolutely. Not for specific uses and all that, obviously. In general, in a couple of weeks, there's going to be a video dropping on the channel. I'm not going to talk about it, but I will say that this particular weapon system has irons on it, and it was so nice to get back to shooting some irons again on an AR. So it was great to do that.
Well, you've been known to shoot with no sights. Let's be honest.
I have been, and here's the thing with the Anderson AM10. I did it straight out of the box, and I had 18 by 24 inch steel. There's a video on the channel. Go check it out. And yes, I ended up walking it in and hitting steel at 100 yards with nothing, just the flat rail. No flip ups, no dot, no nothing. Just straight up having to walk it. I was aiming at what I thought was at the ground. It's going to see where I see impact in the dirt or something to see. And I finally, you'll see. Go check that video out. Not now, but later. Jason Ewing's out there. What's up? Howdy. Let's see here. 50% of the 1.5 thousand votes. That comes out to basically 750 votes in my Marine Corps crayon math. Is that right, Kyle? You do the same math I do. 750 is half of 1.5 thousand. All right.
that's correct.
All right. Say red dot. 50% say red dot. 22% say iron sights. 13% say LPVO. 12% say scope, and 4 people agree with Ginger and say prism. So, I think Ginger's used to being part of the 4%, but it is what it is. Our second question, 1.3 thousand votes. This came out Saturday. Of these, if you had to pick one, which would be your favorite singer to listen to? I kind of went a really diverse part. I love all 4 of these artists, but Billy Joel, John Lennon, Bob Marley, or Stevie Wonder. Ginger, of those 4, which one would you rather just chill to or whatever?
If I'm chilling, it's Bob Marley. If I want to rock out a little bit, I guess it's Billy Joel.
Fair, very fair. Clove?
I'm going with a piano man, baby.
The piano man, absolutely. Kyle, now, before I should have asked Ginger, I need to preface this, Ginger, and say these are all solo artists from the 70s and 80s. and all of that. So I didn't know if you were aware of any of these. I think you might have just been guessing. I don't know.
You know, I threw an educated guess out there. I was hoping I was right, but you know, who knows?
Hey, you know, I'm not
Ginger,
going to with yours.
Ginger probably thinks Bob Marley did "Don't Worry, Be Happy." Just saying.
No, Bob
Or he
Marley
was in
did
that
not
movie
do it.
Marley and Me, you know.
True. This is true.
Sad movie. Great movie, but such a sad movie. I don't like dogs. I'm not a big fan of dogs getting hurt or dying. Oh well. Kyle, what about you? Of those four, do you have one that you like to chill to or just listen to in general?
Bob Marley
That's what I'm talking about.
with Ginger.
Yeah, they're all on my playlist. There's no doubt about it. Of these, definitely my favorite. Bob Marley. I used to go to Bob Marley Fest every year and had a great time with that. Completely sober, I promise.
Yeah.
Wow, that didn't take you long. What the hell?
You don't go to a Bob Marley concert and stay sober the entire time. The contact alone.
The contact high alone would get you. That's true. That's true. 1.3 thousand votes. 40% are correct that say Bob Marley. 30% I would also take Billy Joel. I'd take all of them actually. 15% say Stevie Wonder and 14% say John Lennon. I tell you, there's a concert that I had an opportunity. I was gonna be gone, but I could have made it back if I wanted to. This is about 20 years ago, and I regret it now. But I had a chance to go to the Billy Joel Elton John concert, and I know a lot of people might crap on that. I'm a huge fan of Billy Joel and Elton John. I think that might have could have been one of the greatest concerts ever because they did a lot of stuff together and individually. I've loved that. Billy Joel, yeah. If you guys don't know Billy Joel, if you don't know any four of these, you're welcome. Go introduce yourself to them. Faux show. Our last poll, man, I tell you what, this got heated. Got heated in some comments. Of these, 1.5 thousand votes. Of these, what's the best American food? Parentheses, not all of them are sandwiches. A BLT, a cheeseburger, a hot dog, or a Philly cheesesteak. Let's start with Clover on this one.
And part of me wants to say the cheesesteak because the Philly cheesesteak at Tulsa is off the chain, right?
Absolutely.
But as far as variety available, what you can do with it, cheeseburger.
Yep, I get it. You know, there's something to be said about a fresh cheeseburger, not like a fast. I mean, I like some fast food cheeses, but like a burger establishment, there's something to be said about that.
How about a Philly cheesesteak cheeseburger?
Oh my God, I just might have broke the matrix.
Right. I think something like that exists.
I think that might need to be brought into yeah, I think that needs to be brought up to our homeboy in Tulsa this year and say, hey man, you want to break the matrix? If you've never been to Wanamaker, they have it every year, twice a year in April and in November in Tulsa. It's the world's largest gun show. 11 acres under one roof, over 4,000 tables. It is incredible. But they also have, in my opinion, the greatest Philly cheesesteak.
So here's the plan.
Okay.
Follow me on this, right?
Sure.
Day one, we get the Philly cheesesteak, right?
Sure.
Anyway, OG, go with it. Day two, we have somebody make a Whataburger run. Then we get a Philly cheesesteak. Scrape that off the bun onto the Whataburger in lieu of the toppings on the Whataburger, like the lettuce and tomato and the pickle and stuff. Instead of that, we put the meat and the cheese and the onions and the peppers from the Philly cheesesteak from Tulsa on the Whataburger. That would be as awesome, I think, as the Frosty and Krispy Kreme.
So Kyle and Ginger don't know this. A couple years ago, we experimented with a Krispy Kreme donut dipped in a Wendy's chocolate frosty, and it was a little bit of heaven, and
a whole lot of diabetes.
and a whole lot of diabetes. But that was amazing. But you know what? I would even be willing to pay the extra money to DoorDash and have them deliver that Whataburger to Wanamaker to make that happen. I think we need to make that happen, Clover. I think just came up with something that could be amazing.
I'm 100% serious and down. Yeah.
Now, Chris says, I volunteer to make that run in Tulsa. That sounds amazing. We'll get a DoorDash, man. We'll just put together a large ass order of a Whataburger and have them deliver it. And yeah. Now, G-Webs might have a point. It is Oklahoma. And he says you can't combine sandwiches like that in Oklahoma legally. That could be possible. He might be right about that. We'll have to talk with Snob about that. He might know the legalities.
Snob can probably get us some permits.
You think? Yeah, you think he might be able to pull some strings for us?
So.
Nice. Okay. All right. Marcus out there says, "What up? Bidding on World War II stuff on Gunbroker and lost track of time." There's a sick joke in there, but I'll just disregard it. But yeah. Kyle Kyle might be gone. He might be on a break.
I'm here.
Okay. Your picture went away, so I didn't know. Let's see here. BLT, cheeseburger, hot dog, or Philly?
Definitely cheeseburger. I gotta go with Clover on this one.
Now let's talk fast foods. Fast foods. What's your favorite fast food cheeseburger? Like a fast food chain, like everyone might know.
Burger King.
The Whopper ain't bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, you don't hear that very often.
I enjoy a Whopper. I enjoy a Whopper much more than I do McDonald's.
I told you I even like the Impossible Whopper. Like it's not bad.
Yep. So, have you ever had a Whataburger, Kyle?
I have not.
Okay. Oh, we got to make that happen somehow. How do we make that
happen? I'll, at SHOT next year, we can always bring him one to his booth. You know what I'm saying? Like we can go stop by a Whataburger on the way or something and bring it to his booth and let you enjoy a Whataburger because they've got a Whataburger in Vegas.
That's true. Or he could just get his butt over to Tulsa.
Or he can just stop in Vegas. I did.
Or he can just bring Anderson and come to Tulsa with us and hang out. EAA is going to be there this November. You guys might want to think about getting a couple tables and selling some stuff there. Just saying. We'll talk off air.
For sure.
Ginger, he's gonna say like, something weird like kale salad or something.
No, not kale salad. Here's my take on this. When it's a good Philly cheesesteak, it's a good Philly cheesesteak. When it's a bad Philly cheesesteak, it's really bad. So Philly cheesesteak is on the list, top of tier, but it's got to be a good Philly cheesesteak. If it's not like Cheese Whiz or really good cheese, it's not a good Philly. Now,
I agree.
Burgers, you can have a good burger. I haven't had a really bad burger in a while, but it's good burgers. I've never had in my life a bad hot dog, and I've had a lot of good hot dog.
I've had a couple of hot dogs in my life that will make me question whether I was alive or not. I would just say gas stations come to mind. Just saying.
Gas station hot dogs are not top of, and I don't know if Colin probably hasn't had this, but there's a chain of gas stations in Ohio and Western Pennsylvania called Sheetz. Sheetz makes a good hot dog.
Oh yeah, Sheetz are the best.
Yeah, so there's places, gas stations you can get good hot dogs. So it's between a burger and a hot dog. So it's a toss up between those two because there's a lot of good hot dog places out here, and I've had a lot of good hot dog places, and there's been some really good burger places too. And the best thing about Phoenix is we have In-N-Out and Whataburger and Jack in the Box, and all of them make a good.
I tell you what, Jack in the Crack I think is one of it's a top 5 fast food joint for this reason only. I took my daughter to one in Houston. We were down there for a football game, probably 10 years ago, and there was a Jack in the Box that was in the parking lot of the hotel. So we went over there like at midnight or whatever, open 24 hours. She had never been to a Jack in the Box. And she was amazed that you could order an egg roll, a taco, a hot dog, some chicken fingers, chicken fried steak fingers, and a cheeseburger, all from the same menu. And I was like, that's the beauty of Jack in the Crack. None of it's great, but it's all so good. It's so good. So good. Yeah, I love Jack in the Crack, man. Love it. And I don't disagree with you. I do disagree about the hot dog, because I've had more bad hot dogs than I ever have burgers or cheesesteaks. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm, I like a good hot dog, but I've had more bad hot dogs than I have burgers and cheesesteaks. I will agree that the cheesesteak can go either way. It could be amazing or it could be terrible. But I luckily have really never had I think I've had one or two in my life. Cheesesteaks, that's just not very good. Most of the time, man, they're pretty good. Pretty darn good.
I don't know that I've ever had a burger that was completely inedible.
I have only, and I'm going to preface this by saying it was at a cookout, and when you're at a cookout and you're not doing the cooking, you're taking the chances of whoever's on the grill not burning the hell out of and making them like the hard hockey pucks. Those are the only times that I've ever had a bad burger. It's just when they're just burnt. And that's really the only ones. But from like an establishment, whether it's fast food or not, no, I can't remember having like a bad, like even a below standards or below awesome burger is still not bad.
Yeah,
right?
it's like it's not gourmet, right? It's like I wouldn't ever order this again, but it's edible. It's like, hey, it's a burger,
Yeah. TJ says we've heard you like a good foot long. Hey, I can one bite, baby. One bite. I'm talented like that. Oh, you're talking about hot dogs. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah, Defense Dad's true. He says that cheesesteaks, some places are under seasoned and overcook the meat and they're just trash. Yeah, for me, like here's the thing, even if the meat is maybe overcooked or whatever, you can usually make up with that with the onions and the peppers and the cheese. It can still taste okay. It's when the cheese is bad, really. If you get the wrong cheese or something, someone tries to get creative and make a fancy cheesesteak, stick to the basics. You really can't, in my opinion, all things equal, having a great burger and a great cheesesteak, I'm probably taking a great cheesesteak over a great burger. I know that sounds weird, but yeah, that's just me. 67% say a cheeseburger. And actually, the way I spelled it, I didn't even notice that till now. It's a Cheeseburger. Yeah, great spell on there, dude. 18% the cheesesteak, 9% BLT, and hot dogs come in last where they should be there, Ginger, at 7%. Now, I think I've asked everybody this, but Ginger, I'm sure I've asked you this. Hot dog, you think it's a sandwich? Remember,
it depends on how it's dressed.
No, it does not depend. It never depends. It will never be a sandwich, ever. Explain to me how you think it could be a sandwich. I want to hear this argument.
All right. Well, if it's just a hot dog by itself, it's not a sandwich. But if it's like a Chicago-style dog or a Sonoran-style dog where it's got a bunch of different toppings on it, it's slightly kind of a sandwich. I would lean towards more of a submarine than a sandwich because it is on a roll. But
I'll accept that.
But yeah, I just
be a sandwich.
But that's a specific thing, a submarine. It's not a sandwich.
Yeah, a sub is not a sandwich either. It's its own thing. Yeah. I knew I didn't like you for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I guess that's it. I don't know. It is what it is. All right. Guys, those are the pony polls this week. go check out our good friends over at AndersonManufacturing.com. Doing some awesome stuff. And if you were here before, Kyle was talking a little about this month's Saratoga of the month. It's the Sandstorm. If you guys remember the old chocolate chip desert camo pattern from the original Desert Storm, that's kind of what it is. And like I said, Kyle sent me a picture of it. And I was like, oh man, like, love that stuff. Love it. They do real quick, Kyle, if you want to. I know that there might be people that don't know about the Saratoga of the month. You want to spend a couple of seconds and just kind of explaining the whole project real quick before we get going into their topic?
Yeah, I'll give it down and dirty. Basically, a Saratoga of the month. We'll pick a design for the month, and pre-orders open. So, for instance, April was our A-Palms. The A-Palms is there the month of April. You can pre-order them. But after April, they never come back again. So you kind of get a limited edition receiver set, perfect start for your build, and have something different from what everybody else has. So kind of all rolled into a package this month, like Ghost was saying, Sandstorm, and it's just paying homage to like those Desert Storm guys. So head to Anderson Manufacturing, check it out, get a look at them. If you like it, order one up.
Absolutely. Say hello out there. DP and Recoil Alaska. What's up, brother? He says hot dogs are not food. Now, I don't necessarily go that far. I do enjoy a hot dog. I like going to baseball games. I'm a big baseball guy, and there's nothing better than going to a ballpark, getting yourself a couple hot dogs and a hot pretzel. That's pretty much kind of America right there, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the only place I can eat hot dogs is at the ballpark.
Yeah,
I think I burnt myself out as a kid. I used to eat them like out of the fridge, like right out the package. Like,
yeah, yeah. It's. And the good thing about hot dogs, like if it's like 10 o'clock at night and I just want something real quick and I got some hot dogs, I can throw that real quick and it'll be done in a couple minutes. And
they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Split them in half and fry them up with your breakfast food, like fried bologna. It ain't bad.
I tell you, a pretty good dog is, and I'm not a big Sonic guy, but Sonic has
I just ate one of those the other day. Yeah,
dogs, and Sonic's got a pretty damn good chili dog. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh snap! Yehuda's in the hizzy.
Uh-oh.
Shalom, MF. What's up, brother? Long time no see. Hopefully, see you soon. I mean, worst case, we'll see it shot, but maybe we'll see you somewhere. Go check out the Pew Pew Jew. Awesome person right there. He got a bunch of books out. Great person. Go check out Yehuda, pewpewjew.com. Go check out all this cool stuff over there. Good seeing you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Tonight, we're going to talk range days. And Marcus out there says, are we going to be talking about range day or crazy shit we've seen when we're going to the range? Probably a little bit of both. More importantly, you can't not talk about the crazy stuff you see because that's what the funny stuff is. But a lot of it is how we approach a range day. Now, obviously, Clover just walks out the back porch in his pajamas, and so he's at the range. But for most of us that actually have to like go somewhere to the range, we'll talk about that. More importantly, we'll talk about maybe things not to do. For people out there that might be new to listening to this podcast, it might be kind of new and say, hey, let's remember, guys. I'm sure everyone here remembers the first time they went to a shooting range for the first time. Probably a little nervous, probably a little scared of people making fun of them, probably a little apprehensive of what to do, what not to do, and all of that. So, we're going to talk about range day and some fun stuff that we have, we've seen, weird stuff we've seen at the range. We've all seen weird stuff that have happened to us. I don't know about you guys, but I've had some weird stuff happen to me at a range. I'll be the first to admit it. I've had, multiple NDs at the range. I think if you're shooting long enough and all of that, you're going to have a couple NDs. And anyone that says they've never had an ND is either lying or it just hasn't happened yet. So, I mean, stuff like that, NDs happen that hopefully you learn from them and don't make that mistake again. But it does happen. But we're not going to really go through like, hey, I want to ask each individual. Let's just have it. We've all been around. We're all friends. We know each other. Let's just have a discussion. Let's start kind of from the beginning. When we're talking about going to the range, do you guys really set aside and say, I'm going to the range for a specific reason to work on something specifically? Or is it just, let's just go to the range and just get some trigger time and let loose some stress? Like most of the time, obviously we're all going to do that, but in general, do y'all go to the range with a purpose to work on something individually or what?
Yeah, I mean, I always do. I always go to the range with a purpose, but I mean, that has a lot to do with like your budget and stuff like that, where you live. I'm in a pretty urban area right now. I'd like to be out in the sticks one day, but it costs money to go to the range. So anytime I go to the range is with a purpose. Either I need to train, like get my weekly training in, or I'm trying to get something sighted in, a new optic or something like that. But I always go with a purpose and, kind of prepare to that. Whatever happens, obviously, but I at least go with a plan. So
you go to a plan. Let me ask you this. At work, do you guys have your own range or anywhere that you can shoot that's attached to your property and buildings?
We do. So we have we have our test fire range, and then we have an off-site campus where we do like our heavy test fires and stuff like that. Something new that we want to see how far we can run in there.
Right. I got you. Ginger is in the hizzy finally. He finally made it home. John, when you go to the range, ask you the same question. When you go to the range, do you usually go with some sort of direction or idea of what you want to accomplish, or do you just kind of go to the range and say, hey, let's just get some rounds down range?
A little bit of both. It depends on what I'm going for. So if it's going to
assuming you're not doing content, let's just say that.
If I'm doing content, then yes, it's to go for a purpose, to maybe practice holster drawing or practice target acquisition, maybe shoot and move. And then sometimes it's just, hey, I got a new toy, I want to go blast some rounds downrange.
That's just as good as anything. Yeah, for sure. Clover, the biggest question I have for you is, when you walk outside your back door to go to the range, are you typically dressed, or are you just kind of letting it all hang out?
It depends. You call pajama pants dressed?
I mean, you have clothes on, know.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever walked out there in your underwear and say, let's go shoot some guns?
Shoot some guns? No. Have I ever went out there in my underwear? Yes.
Well, sure. But
occasionally you forget something's out there and you're, in the bed and you wake up and you're like, oh, crap. Or
you remember that you had a gun buried in the snow.
Yeah, a Glock under 2 feet of snow or whatever. Yeah. No, but I was filming that day or doing something, and it's like, oh man, I left that out there. I was going to bring it in, and I, second trip or something, and I didn't. And just throw on some shoes, grab a flashlight, scoot out there, grab it. So, yeah, it happens.
I'd be out there full nude, rocking it.
Right?
Mag dump.
Hot brass is a real thing. Just saying.
I understand. Clover Snob says Clover brought a Brickell bib to wear on the range. That's fair. That's fair. I know somebody who probably has one. He lives in Indiana. Knowing him, he probably has one of those. Love you, real call.
I'm sure. Autographed, probably autographed. Got a little.
He's got it framed. I promise you.
Little lipstick kiss on it or something. No telling.
I hope those were Joe's lips. Never know. You never know. Marcus out there says most time going to the range is 0 new optics or get the feel of a new firearm. Guy says depends. I go indoor range to stay up to date with my pistols. I go to the outdoor range just to shoot shotguns and ride. I'm assuming horses, maybe. Defense Dad said
quads.
Huh?
Or quads.
Or quads, sure. Yeah. Some of us went bowling with a 12 gauge. this weekend. It was a blast, literally. That sounds interesting.
Now do it. Now do it
TJ
like a real man. Now do it with some handguns.
Goes to 22 to see if you can knock any of those pins over.
Whew, as long as they're put on the board regulation for a 22, which is at the back edge, not the front edge. And as
Might
long
be
as you,
kind of hard to hit your target. Yeah, I know it's pretty easy to hit 22 target to 22 at a reasonable distance. But bowling pins would be interesting. I really don't know. I mean, how close would you have to be to knock a bowling pin down to 22? Pretty close, if at all.
if you catch it right, no. And especially if it, like I said, if it's on the back end of the table, which most 22, most rimfires bowling pin matches I've seen, it's on the back edge of the table, not the front.
If it knocks it a little bit, it falls
Well,
over.
the deal is, if you're good enough, you can catch it on the head of the pin.
Okay.
And it'll flip it off.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. For me, if I'm not going for content, then typically I'm going to work on something. A lot of times me and Lance will go out there and we'll just get some targets up there and just try to get some shots in and work on, like kind of what John was saying, work on draws, work on multiple target acquisition, transitioning. Sometimes we'll transition between pistol and rifle or whatever, just working on all that kind of stuff. If we're going AR, we'll put the barrier thing we built, trying to get from different angles, different setups and different positions, and working strong hand, working a little weak hand, doing some CQB, having to switch sides and all that kind of stuff. Handling is really, I spend a lot of time handling, and I know that sounds weird. I enjoy shooting rounds, but I'll tell you this much. So kind of funny how we get to this day right here. We got to this point in our life right here through this YouTube channel because I was at the range getting ready to go to Texas or Oklahoma for a big IDPA match. This is in June 8th. Coming up in 2 days, June 8th of 2017. It will be my 6 years on YouTube. June 8th will be Thursday, my 6-year anniversary on YouTube. But on June 8th of 2017, I was preparing for a match, and I was doing some stuff that I always do at the range. And there's happened to be a guy down there, and he was just kind of watching, like, what the hell is he doing? And he was probably one of those guys that's got his he's going to rest it, his revolver on a rest, and do his thing. It is what it is. He asked me what I was doing. I told him I was getting ready for a match and all that. And he said, man, you should do a video on that. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, oh, that's probably people that want to know how to get into competitive shooting and what you had to do. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't do that. Literally, I filmed my first video that day, like selfie style on the phone. And that was my first YouTube video. The reason why that's important is I was at the range working on getting ready for a match, working on some specific skills. Now, take that a couple years before that, I'm being bored at the range quite a bit because you go to the range and sometimes you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again at the range. Yes, it's good always doing your handling and all that, but sometimes you want to. So I started getting into competitive shooting because it gave me something to practice and be at the range doing something different than I would normally. So going to the range and getting kind of bored, ironically, 6, 7, 8 years later through this weird cycle has led to tonight. So it's kind of strange. For me, I'm always looking to work on handling, though. I think that is a skill set for me personally. What I see people at ranges, just people out there in general, their handling skills are suspect at best, sometimes a little scary, let's be honest. I think people should worry on your handling skills a lot more than just shooting. I think practicing from the draw is important. I think working strong hand only, weak hand only, all that stuff, working on reloads in your workspace, all that kind of stuff, the handling side of firearms is just as important as just getting trigger time. I'll decline that phone call. Someone's calling from New York. I why don't not New York City get a rope? Some of y'all aren't old enough to understand that, John and Kyle. Clover understands a get a rope. That was what was that? The picante sauce commercial, whatever that was. Anyways, so we're talking about ranges and all that, and let's I'm gonna go to Clover real quick on this one and say, how much time, like when you're going to your range or any other range, and you're actually working on specific skills, how much time do you spend actually pulling triggers versus whether it's handling or moving or whatever? How much time do you kind of allocate for actually just pulling triggers versus other things? He's not even listening.
I pull triggers a lot, so.
I mean, do you dedicate time to handling skills, or is it mostly just pulling triggers?
The handling skills happen when you're pulling triggers, so as far as I'm concerned. So, no, I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe 80% trigger, 20%.
Let me put you this way. Do you ever spend time emphasizing your handling skills, or they just kind of go along with it?
On the range?
Yeah.
Most of the handling and stuff happens more dry fire style, I think, than on the range. So no, if I'm on the range, I'm sending them because I'm on the range.
No, I hear you. And there's a reason why I'm asking that. John, Kyle, triggered pulls or other skills that you're working on, which do you think you do most of? Is it just trigger time when you're on the range typically?
Yeah. When I go to the range, it's strictly trigger time. I'm usually limited to one lane system anyway, just in the area I'm in.
Yeah.
So like, if you're out there, then you're in an area like that. Like Clover was saying, what I think you're alluding to is you don't have to be at the range to work on your handling, but handling is a required foundation to have when it comes to any type of marksmanship. Especially if you're looking for like personal defense, like you want to know how to handle that thing as well as, shoot it accurately.
Absolutely. Ginger?
I mean, when, just like you said, dry fire practice, holster draw practice at the house, and then I put it all together at the range and send rounds down range. So it's a lot of just taking, I guess you would say, the motions, but that's a bad way of saying it. Taking the motions and putting it all into this form to.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
The other thing that I really like using before I go to the range is a Mantis. I put my Mantis X on my pistols, and I'll run it just to see time and draw time and trigger pull and accuracy and things like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. The reason why I kind of was going down that road, I was going to ask you, basically, and you guys have all kind of answered that. And I do a lot of handling, but it is handling while pulling triggers. If you want to focus on just the draws, just the different transitions and all of that, I think that needs to be done with an empty gun, magazine in a separate room than the firearm, dry firing at home. I think that's the biggest thing that I think what people, let's take Kyle. You're busy. You don't have access. You only have you're in an urban area. So you don't have a lot of choices. So you go to the range and you have one lane. You might have that for an hour max, so you're going to try to pull as many triggers as you can. That's great. The problem is I think that's what I'm not saying you, I think the average person that is in that same boat, how much I go once a month, once every 6 weeks to the range and get as many triggers. If you're not doing anything in between those range visits, one, really, are you going to get any better? But two, you could be dangerous out there if you're not working on stuff at home. So I consider the dry fire and the handling practice at home as part of a range. It might not be shooting live ammo at the range, but that's a range. That's something that goes along with range days, because if you're not working on that stuff, your range days aren't going to be as successful. They could be dangerous, if you will. Getting some trigger time, dry firing, Mantis. There's a lot of great different programs and systems you can use for dry fire, or you can just dry fire and just point at the TV. I swear to God, for a while, I would get my gun out and I'd be watching a movie, and every time I saw a bad guy, I'm dry firing on the bad guy. It is what it is. But yeah, I think the handling skills are incredibly important, and I think a lot of it's going to be done at home because you need to maximize your time while at the range. I see now if you've got hours upon hours to just hang out at the range, do your thing. I see a lot of people at the range that come out literally, and they'll have a box of ammo, which is fine. One box of ammo, and they're going to shoot that as fast as they can. And it's like, unless you're just stressed out and you needed a stress relief, I don't understand why, if you've got 50 rounds and you're going to fill up, 4 or 5 magazines and just go mag dump, switch mag dump, switch mag, and then you're gone 5 minutes later. I don't understand the purpose of that. So I would say is go with a purpose, go with a plan, at least an idea of what you want to get done. Do some prep work before you get to the range, whether it's handling or going for the draw. Now, let me ask you guys this. I'm lucky where I am, and obviously Clover has a home range, but Kyle, like where you go, is it an indoor range or outdoor range typically?
It's indoor. Are
you allowed to shoot from the draw at that range?
Technically, you're not supposed to.
There's a lot of,
the people in there are cool. So
yeah. But there's a lot of people that will say I can't shoot from the draw from my range. That's fine. Do your draw practice at home. Do your draw, and if you really want to get your draw, present, and find that sight picture and target acquisition, and you can't do it at the range, start the low ready and just pull it up and try to find that sight picture and all that. But do your handling with the holster at home. You can do that while you're watching a movie at home. It might freak your family out a little bit, but as long as it's safe, unloaded, and all that, you can sit there and get your draws in and get presentation and all that at home. Going to the range now. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about maybe bringing like beginners or someone that's inexperienced to the range.
Hey, before you do, there's a place for the mag dumps, and that is maintenance repair related things.
I get that.
Yeah. So sometimes when people do that, they've had to work on something or whatever, and they're just, they want to run it fast just to make sure that everything is gonna.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. The ones that I have witnessed, I'm pretty sure that's not the case.
Oh no doubt. There's people that do it just to do it, just to waste ammo. No. That's the vast majority of times. The times I do it is kind of what I'm saying. Anytime I'm mag dumping, it's typically some type of a function test because of
or just having fun doing a mag dump just for the hell of it.
Very rarely. I mean, occasionally, and especially if you're talking 22, because 22 is cheap. I mean, I'll put up something like a 10-inch gong at 25 yards, right? And how fast can I rack the trigger off, and how many can I get on the steel, type thing. But you're talking about a 10-round magazine a lot of times too, so it's not like it's a bunch of ammo. But the vast majority of when I do mag dump type things, it's checking out something. It's trying to figure out a problem. Somebody's brought me one and they've had a problem, or I fixed something or whatever.
Absolutely. And Defense Stat says the majority of people don't have regular access to a range that actually allows it. Exactly. And that's why I think that doing the homework, if you will, for guns is the handling and the dry firing. I think that's part of the range because you may not be shooting live ammo. I hope you're not shooting live ammo. But you are still getting trigger time. And that's got to be part of the range. Is you set up a range day. Okay, I'm gonna go to the range this Saturday. Well, that whole week prior, you should be doing something, getting ready for that range day, whether it's cleaning your guns, making sure everything's good to go, work on your draw from the holsters. If you can't do it at the range, that's got to be something, especially if you
nice.
Like, what the hell, you know? What'd you say?
There you go.
We lost you.
You
We
froze.
lost you.
Another
Yeah, really?
awesome screenshot.
You guys are moving around, and I never did anything here.
Yeah.
And before we move on to being in the area I'm in, and if you're in the urban area out there, I try to schedule once a month where I can get somewhere outdoors where I can work on draw from the holster or even different firing positions with the rifles.
Yep, absolutely. The next transition we're talking about is, like I said, taking someone, not necessarily an absolute beginner, but someone that's either beginner or very limited experience at the range that may not know some range etiquette or never really been taught. There's a question by G-Webs up there that I've starred. We're going to come back to that. That's a great question. We'll hit that next. Thanks, G. But talking about bringing inexperienced, even beginners out there, what's the first thing you guys, I know, Clover, you've got a bunch of this experience with 4-H and all that, you know, aside from showing them talk about the safety and all of that, and showing them the proper, you know, basic grip and all that, once you've gotten past that step, what's kind of the first maybe drills or something that you're going to take beginners to go shoot?
The easiest thing possible. So safety, number one, obviously. Manual of arms, manipulation. You know,
once you've gotten past those, absolutely.
Hunting, unloading, basics. Obviously, those two are top tier. And the third is fun, and that can entail a bunch of different things. And it's not fun if they don't hit targets. So, you know, as close as they can possibly be on as big of a target as you can possibly put out there, and get them to start getting rounds on steel or rounds in color on a, you know, on a circle target, whatever the case may be.
B-52 target out there, let them try
whatever.
to hit.
And then work them out from there. But, you know, get them. And let me back up and say, get through the safety and the manual of arms, and anybody you're with. I mean, the speed at which they absorb that is going to be different. Everybody kind of picks up things and learns differently, but you want to get them on the range, pulling triggers with live ammunition as quickly as possible.
Yep.
And having fun doing it. That's, to me, that's the goal, because let's be honest. We can train. We can go out and we can train, and we can, you know, whatever, flashing lights, loud noises, you know, low light, flipping around hoods on cars, you know, or maybe it's precision training. We're standing there. We're focused on breathing. We're focused on a 2-stage trigger pull. We're focused on, you know, hyper focused on sight alignment, you know, or we can just go out there and have fun.
Yep. No,
right.
Which
do we prefer to do? We prefer to go out there and have fun. I'm going to shoot steel. I'm going to shoot the, you know, swinging steel, moving steel. I'm going to move between this barricade and the other. I'm going to, you know, that type of stuff we're having fun when we're doing it. And the same thing applies to new people too. Make it fun, because that's what draws us in, and that's what keeps us, I think, being firearm owners. It's so much fun, not only in what we can do on the range, but all of the equipment we have access to do that with, right?
Yeah, whether it's steel targets where they can hear that ping, ping, ping. It's a cool feeling when you hear that ping, ping, ping.
And I think it's also important to keep in mind, if you're taking somebody out, and let's say it's a kiddo, let's say it's a niece or a nephew, and they're, you know, whatever, 8, 9 years old, 60 pounds, 40, whatever, 50, 60 pounds soaking wet, you know, and you take out the 4-inch Smith & Wesson, you know, 44 Magnum. Right. Like, and that's the only thing you've brought out. Like, come on. So keep in mind who you're taking in that context. And again, the gear and all of the doodads are what's the fun, right? So bring some things for the range that are fun, whether that's eye and ear pro or targets or the firearms that you bring things that are fun.
I have been known, when I've worked with people in the last few years, that are either brand new or inexperienced or haven't shot in years type thing. I brought watermelons. I brought out gallon milk. They're filled with water so that they can actually see. You know, it sounds funny, but you shoot a watermelon, it's kind of fun. Like, you know, You get 10. It might take a few shots for that thing but once it does, it's gonna crack open. You shoot a milk jug, that water is gonna splash. That's got reactive targets are kind of cool to see.
Fruits, melons, vegetables.
Yep.
The round ones, of course, are amazing. The thing about it is you really don't have a mess to clean up. Nature will take care of that. Right?
Exactly.
It's not like plastic or rubber, like it was a balloon or something like that. And obviously your big, huge grocers, they're not going to do it. But if you've got a mom and pop grocer, they cull their fruits and vegetables, and oftentimes you can go in there and pick through basically their garbage can of
and say, hey,
fruits and vegetables, and they will give them to you.
Fresh watermelons, we're not going to eat it. What do you got?
It may have a bad spot in it, right?
Great fruits do you have? Absolutely.
An apple with a wormhole in it, bad watermelon with a bad spot in it, and oftentimes they can't sell it to you. But what they'll do often, the times I've seen, is you pick out what you want and usually put it in a banana box. If anybody's ever moved, and banana boxes are awesome for moving, but I'll go in and pick through and put a bunch of stuff in a banana box, and then I'll leave the store, walk around the back, and the employee sets it outside the back door.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then I pick it up and put it in the truck, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, I haven't carried it through the store. They basically thrown it out,
Yeah. Kyle, John, I'm going to go with you guys and say, when you're bringing someone that's inexperienced or new, what are some of the things, whether it's type of guns you bring, what kind of targets, all that stuff, what are some of the stuff that you always try to do to help make that an enjoyable first experience?
Well, I'm kind of in Clover's boat because I taught CMP for years. So what I did was a couple different things. I took my experience from there and I brought it to when I was doing other instructing. But like, we would do one night a week, we would do game night for CMP, and it would be like the most fun I had was we did water balloons filled with paint, and they got to keep the canvases afterwards. So that was really cool because they painted all over.
That's pretty cool.
I did like a Top Shot thing where we took all the cards backwards, and that was your points. And there was a bunch of different targets out there to shoot at for different points. The most fun that the kids I did it with my advanced kids who had like completed the program. I took playing cards and put them sideways and said split the card, and I had 1 out of 10 do it. So that was fun.
Or Q-tips or Q-tips or matchsticks.
Yeah, I actually did it. We did it together because I shot it first, and I split mine, and then he's like, "Oh, I can do this," and so we walked back and he split it, and he still texts me like it's once every 2 years. He'll text me and go, "Hey, I still got that card."
That's awesome.
Split.
Well, that's an experience that he'll have for them forever. He still remembers that experience. That's awesome.
He was the first. So the program I was doing. So the way CMP works is they work off of. I don't know how 4-H works, but they don't work off of bullseye shooting. They work off of grouping. So their whole thing is like you get scored by your grouping. So no matter where that was what made CMP.
No matter where it hits, as long as the group's good, you're good. Okay.
And that made CMP fun because I could go, hey, you're shooting a good group. Now let's try to bring it here. Let's see what you were doing wrong here. And the way it would score, like if you got a 10 ring, well, it would count for all the other rings across the board, and that'd be your thing. So I had the camp had been open for 60 years. I got the first highest award this first summer I started for that camp. So that one kid actually completed the entire course, which really made all these other kids. And I think the last time I heard, because the kid who shot the card in half became an instructor of that camp, he called me. He goes, "Hey, I got 10 more this year." And then they kept going. He'll call me. So that was cool. But for like beginners, when I was teaching, it was normally we'd start off with 22 rifle, same thing, and then work our way up to a pistol. And every time I would go to a new gun, it'd be a new, hey, this is how this works. We'll explain how this goes. All right, now let's go have the fun part. Let's fire off one round, and then we'll work from there to see if you're comfortable. And then kind of worked our way up. When it was indoor range, I didn't really like bringing out the AR, but a lot of people want to shoot the AR. But ARs in indoor ranges are just so.
Oh, the acoustics is terrible. Yeah. It's gonna kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, but Yeah, that's really. I made a lot of my stuff fun, and like even training with the wife, she's went from like not wanting to shoot to now transitioning, doing target transitions and things like that. So she's
Awesome.
enjoying that. So
Yeah, I will never get my wife to the range
My
ever.
wife never was into it until I got into the kids into it, until the kids
Mm.
really got into it. And then she's seen how, first of all, she's seen how safe and structured and disciplined and organized and everything. That's why it's great for kids. She's seen all of those aspects, right, of it. And then she's seen how fun it was. And so her tune kind of changed, so to speak,
Well, and
on it.
you're also seeing like if my husband and all the kids are spending Saturdays at the range having fun,
Mhm.
one, maybe I should try it, but two, that might be a way that I see my kids and husband on a Saturday. You
Yeah.
know, there's
Yeah.
different reasons why they get involved,
And
but somehow they just hopefully they just enjoy it, you know.
And it would start out with, oh, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be the range photographer and I'm gonna take pictures. And then the next thing you know, I mean, the fun is just, it's contagious, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
next thing you know, it's like she's got to pull triggers, and then she's doing the Top Shot Ironman matches we would have for
Yeah.
fun and different things. The next thing you know,
That's
and
awesome.
winning some of them.
Yeah. That's awesome. Kyle, when you're working with someone inexperienced or a beginner and all that, are there certain things that you're always going to try to make sure that they have a safe and fun experience?
Kind of like these guys said, just bring a low recoil, like a 9mm or a 22, start them off, and then I don't know, I'll bring like a suppressed AR,
Oh
like
yeah,
like a laser or something, cool on it or something. But
I never thought about that, but a little laser, most people have never, they see them in the movies, but they probably never understood it. That's a great
yeah,
idea. The laser is a pretty cool idea, actually. Interesting. Yeah. So that was the next question. I'm kind of going to start. I'll start here with Kyle on this one. Um, typically, do you start when you said 22 or 9, but if you had your choice to start someone, what kind of, was it be a rifle, a 22 LR rifle, or what caliber and what kind of platform would you normally want to start someone on?
I'd say up until this year, I would have probably said just your typical AR, a 5.56, just
Nice.
because
Yeah.
it's so simple to learn the mechanics behind it. Um, but now, I don't know. I'm kind of starting to like these 9mm rifles, man. I
Like
really am. So
yeah.
I think if I contacted like a new shooter right now, I'd probably get them on a PCC of
That's
some sort.
that's a great one. That's a great one. What? Oh, okay. Yeah. I just saw the pat chat. Clove, gonna come to you. I think I
Yeah.
know you're probably gonna go buckmark, but typically, what caliber and platform are you gonna try to start someone else on?
Yeah, it's going to depend on, if you're talking absolute green, never shot before, probably 22, probably regardless. And I got so many to choose from,
Sure.
is the thing, but probably 22. Um, if it's a kid, probably 22 regardless, just for my own peace of mind. Like, let's start out
Yeah.
with that. And then you may only take one mag or one cylinder in a 22. And it's like, oh, okay, we can move up,
Okay. We'll move up. Yeah.
they've shot other things before, and so that's that situation. But for my own peace of mind, let's shoot the 22 first.
Yeah.
If it's an adult and they've handled some various things, we don't break out the 44 Magnums right off the bat or anything like
You're not,
that. But
you're not gonna break out the
time telling me,
deagle first off the bat.
yeah,
Come on.
right. Well, I don't have a deagle, but
Well, I'm just saying.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
44 is gonna be fun. They probably hate you and never come back. Then again, they might sit there and say, "Oh, like you'll know who like the true like lifers are gonna be when they shoot that 41." Like, oh yeah, you're like, okay, that's my dog right there.
Well, they need to be ready. The worst thing you can do is put a firearm in somebody's hands
Yeah,
and you have not paid enough attention to them to know whether or not it's going to scare them.
scare them or can you physically handle that
Because
gun.
that's one thing that if you do that, and I run into this to a lot, especially with kids and shotgunning. because shotguns are long. They tend to be heavy. 12 gauge, is optimal. And I was having 8 and 10-year-olds that would finish up all the other disciplines, and the only one they like, finishing everything out was shotgunning. But again, they were like 8 or 10 years old, somewhere in that range, and we're talking about even little girls, and it's tough. It's like, hey, you need to understand that this is going to kick, right? There's going to be recoil here. Be prepared for that. Don't worry about hitting the target or hitting the clay or whatever on your first few rounds. Just experience the recoil and know that that's about as bad as it gets, within reason. Now, obviously, if you're shooting like something like a 300 Weatherby Magnum, 300 Winchester Magnum, something like that, it's going to kick worse than a 12 gauge. You know what I mean? But within reason, what are the odds that person or that kiddo, right, is going to shoot anything that kicks worse than a 12 gauge? So it's like, this is about as bad as it gets.
Like, I can only imagine the first shot being 300 Win Mag. I mean, honestly, for like a 10-year-old kid, first shot ever being a 300 Win Mag. Like, once again, you're going to find out whether they're going to be a lifers or they're never going to touch a gun again. It's going to be one of the two. That's it. That's the only thing you got.
But it can absolutely turn somebody. So you have to be careful with that.
Oh yeah. Ginger, caliber, platform. Do you have like a go-to? Not age specific or anything, just in general. Like, what do you like to start people out on?
So there's two that I really like starting people out. First off, it's like a 22 of any kind, 22 rifle, 22 pistol, just to start off. Now, if they're getting into more recoil, and you guys are going to laugh at this one, I found that teaching people how to grip a pistol using a 4-inch revolver with 38s, with some like lead wad cutter, like low recoil 38s, that way I can teach them how to grip it properly. They can kind of go slow with it, and then I work into like a semi. I know Clover's going to.
Yeah, I got a question.
He's already.
I don't want to throw you off, but here's an issue that I've got.
He's the one that's going to.
Go for it.
So, are you teaching them a revolver grip to grip a revolver the same way you grip a semi-auto?
No. I'm starting them off getting the feel for a pistol with that lower
feel for it. You're talking not the grip, the actual grip, the hand position, the mechanics. Okay.
No, because I can teach them like, hey, this is because I'm not teaching them the mechanics. I'm teaching them more to, hey, on a revolver, you don't want to put, even though it's not a semi, I don't want you to put your thumb there. And that way they're learning. Then I switch over to semi, so they know that I'm teaching them proper semi grip with the thumbs forward, and they're not trying to reach back where that slide goes.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't really throw them forward on a revolver, and depending on a revolver with cylinder blast, it could be problematic too.
No, I agree with that. What I'm saying is just trying not to teach them not to put their thumbs behind the grip.
Behind the grip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you want to do on a revolver, but that's neither here nor there. But that's kind of my point. But I guess you could go more advanced. It's better than not. It's better. I guess it's better. You're right. I guess it's better to teach them the wrong way to actually shoot a revolver for safety's sake, right?
Yeah.
And then correct that later on and go, now, hey, you want to shoot this revolver faster? Thumb over.
Yeah, no, and that's where I'm at. Not the like, not like thumbs forward like on a semi, like thumbs on the side by the grip down, and then if they want to go faster, then
like by the top of the grip, like wrapped around the top of the grip, right?
Yeah, wrapped around the top of the grip.
I understand what you're saying now. I understand what you're saying now.
Some people grab that trigger guard.
I'm not very smart though, so
yeah, some people like to grab the front of a trigger guard. I don't know why, but that's like for a lot of, I'm going to say newbies, but even more advanced shooters do that. And you grab the front of a trigger guard on a revolver,
right?
You fix to have a bad day when that trigger breaks.
Well, and that's why I go from that, because it's real low recoil,
right?
To like a 9mm semi, and then go, okay, this is how we're gonna grip this, and just it's trying to keep them from avoiding to putting their thumb behind the slide, because you do that once, you don't get that ever again.
Right. Yeah. One of the biggest things too is you're right. You said go 4-inch. Is the fit of that handgun to the person. Like if you have somebody that's new and they've got fairly large hands, and then you put them in something like a Makarov, right?
Right.
Slide bite's fixing to happen. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care how they're gripping it. Like it's slide bite's fixing to happen.
Yeah, and that's why I go with the 4-inch, just because I don't want to give them a snubby, because you give them a snubby, they're never going to want to shoot again.
Well, a snubby with the right 38 special is okay, but usually that's a light load, and it's really hard to find those like a cowboy load. So it would have to be a hand loaded. But that's what I used to do. Is I would run 158 grain light loaded wad cutters, for all the kiddos. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's slightly worse than a 22. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, just don't do what my buddy did to my wife. We started off with revolvers and he threw a 357.
Yeah,
It's like, come on, man.
I see that kind of stuff, and they laugh, and it's funny. And now, if you did that to an advanced shooter, okay, it's funny. If I did that to Kyle or Ghost or you, it's like, okay, or put a 3.5-inch Magnum in a 12 gauge or something when you're cycling through. It's like, okay, that'd be funny. But yeah, for a new shooter, because
it'd be really funny for you.
Yeah, we would all laugh. We'd be laughing at you, not with you.
I understand. Yeah.
But you'd be laughing too, though. Be honest. You'd be like, "You sorry SOBs." But again, it goes back into scaring somebody, and if you do crap like that, you're going to end up, scaring them, and that's the last thing you want to do, is scare them.
Ooh, scary.
Wake up, man! You were talking about Kyle earlier. Look at you over there.
I know. I should have said anything. Yeah, Kyle, like you're just like, I was like, I think he's asleep with his eyes open.
Yeah,
been there, done that before, so I know it can happen. Yeah. For me, it's I tell you, I love the AR platform to start with, and I kind of agree with Kyle. I would always go with like 5.56. But I think, like a 9mm would be kind of a great way to start them out with them. And I'm not going to lie, this is just me. I know that this kind of goes against what I truly believe and what I use a lot. I want to start them out with a red dot on an AR. For no other reason, for the first few shots, it's literally put that dot on that watermelon or that target or that steel and shoot. And with the proper mechanics that we've already worked on prior to pulling that first trigger, they should hit that target. Exactly. I like an AR platform with a red dot on there first, because you can always go back. We're talking like first experiences. I want them to have fun. I want them to experience hitting targets. In an AR with a red dot, they're going to be able to hit anything that you put at them. And you put a 5.56 through a watermelon, that's gonna have some fun. You're gonna hit some steel. You're gonna have a good time. Pumpkins. Someone said pumpkins earlier. And Clover, I think it was you talking about being able to go to like your local maybe farmer's market or mom and pop grocery store. Man, you want to load up, go a couple days after Halloween, and they're probably giving away some spoiled pumpkins, or just go to your neighbor's house. Hey guys, what are y'all going to do with your pumpkins that you've got on the front porch? Can I have them for, whatever, and go shoot pumpkins with those things? But yeah, I'll always start with an AR. And I do like what Kyle said. I think I might taking some 9s out there, but I've always taken a couple of my, 223s, if you will, and put a red dot. I want them to be able to, experience that. It sounds cool. It sounds weird to us because it's not a cool factor, but for someone who's never shot one, especially if they've kind of grown up playing video games, shooting with a red dot for the first time is a kind of a fun, cool experience to begin with, because they've never done it before. So I think that's a pretty cool way of going that way. I'm not going to go around the room, just throw it out there. When you're working with newbie / inexperienced, do you typically bring several different guns, maybe a handgun, a rifle, a shotgun? Do you bring several for them to shoot throughout the day, or are you going to start one at a time?
I bring about several because then I'll go, okay, we shot this. All right, let's go up and go. And at some point, they're going to be like, well, that's too much, and then go back. Okay, let's go back to this. Not to the point where they're scared, but where they feel comfortable. Like, do you feel comfortable enough to shoot a 12 gauge or this or a Mosin or something with a little bit more kick behind it? And then they'll go, okay, yeah, I feel comfortable. Oh, I didn't like that. Okay, let's go back to this stuff and have more fun.
Does a Mosin have a recoil?
Shut up.
I don't notice it if it does, so that's why I'm asking.
For a beginner who's probably never shot something, they're gonna feel something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm sure, but to me it seems really mild. So maybe that's just me.
See, to me, like an AR, to me it seems like it's almost got negative recoil. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Like to me, but for someone who's new, they're gonna they're gonna feel that kick. But I mean, I think everything's got a little bit of, you have an explosion going on. There's gonna be something. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's much. Like I said, for me, when I think AR recoil, I think a negative recoil almost.
Yeah. Well, my 50's that way. It's
of course
it is. You would not think that thing recoils the way it does. I mean, it's
okay. I'll give you that. Where it may not be, but yeah, there's still some.
There's other drawbacks. No, there's other drawbacks to it, but
yeah.
The recoil is
now. How heavy is your 50? Is it a heavier barrel?
35 pounds. I don't know, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is a lot of guys are not going to go heavy barrel. They're going to go something on a 50 and try to get them as lightweight as possible. Try to get them 25, 30 pounds. That's not fun. Like you want a heavy, like on some of those DMRs, you want heavy barrels. You want heavy everything. You want to absorb as much of that as you can get.
That's why some of the 338 stuff is worse recoil than a 50.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Lighter weight platforms.
A lighter weight platform with just as powerful as a punch. You were going to say something, Kyle? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to agree with John. Like they're gonna pick out what their favorite is. Yeah. It actually happens more than I'd like to admit, but no, they're gonna find that one that they feel comfortable with, and then that's gonna be like their baby, and then that's where they're really gonna start exploring like the fundamentals of marksmanship and all that, and it's gonna blossom into a beautiful thing. So,
I remember the first gun that I had my daughter shoot. I had probably 5 or 6 out there. I'm gonna let her choose. And of course, she being like, this is when she's, I don't know, 17, 16, somewhere in there. And she goes to the smallest because she's like 5'1". At the time, she's like 5'1", like 100 pounds. So she goes to the smallest gun and says, this is the one that I want to shoot first. I said, I don't know if that's what you want to shoot first, but hey, if you want to shoot, we're going to go through all of these. So what does she happen to choose? She ended up choosing the Bodyguard, which is a really small 380 and a carry handle, a carry pistol, a pocket carry pistol size. If you guys aren't familiar with the Bodyguard, it's like an LCP, I guess, almost, but it's
two finger grip.
It's literally a 2-finger grip. Yeah. And I was like, may not be the choice you want for the first experience. Because people don't realize just because it's smaller doesn't mean it's not going to be, a 380 in that small of a package. It's going to have a little kick to it. But she wanted to do it. I said, fine. Then she shoots a couple magazines out of that. Then she moves up to I get her to a shield, and she shoots my shield. Oh, I kind of like that better. Then you get her to the Glock, and she's like, oh. I said, sometimes bigger is better. Sometimes, especially for a beginner. I'm not saying a higher caliber, but if you can get them into like a Glock 17 or something, that's going to have a lot less recoil, a lot less kick to it than a 380 that's got the little Bodyguard LCP style. So just because something's smaller, if someone starts gravitating towards that gun, let me ask you guys this. I mean, do you let them shoot that, or you say, let's come back to that. Let's start with this one. Do you recommend one to shoot, or do you literally say, here's 5 guns, which one do you want to go with first?
Kind of depends on who it is, quite honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm going with the AR probably AR-15.
Well, I think it's important too. I mean, if you're going to bring out a variety, if you have things that are cool, you have things that are unique, they're colorful, they're part of pop culture. I found that the 4-H kids really gravitated, and at that particular time, like Call of Duties and things like that, like maybe it's Medal of Honor or something like World War II. So the M1 carbines, right, and the Garands and things like that. Like they were the P38s. They were gravitating toward that kind of stuff because that's what they've seen, and that stuff was interesting and whatever. So having some quote unquote cool guns can be good. I know a lot of people are there into like the gray man thing with their firearms. Don't make them flashy. Don't get anything with color, or they're like, well, why would you own that? Well, I own things specifically because if I have people that have never shot firearms before and they're interested, and I put that on a table, it may not be one of my favorite guns, and oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes it's a piece of junk. But if I put that on the table, it's gonna catch their interest. They're gonna be, oh man, I've never seen one like that. I've never seen that. I want to try that one. And then you tell them, hey, it may jam 15 times before you get 3 rounds downrange, but let's go. And then once they do that, then put them into something like Kyle's saying, put them onto an AR or something that's more reliable that they actually hit the steel with.
Yeah. If I know that I'm going to be going with someone that's a newbie or someone that's inexperienced and all of that, I'll bring the MP5 in 22 and I'll bring the P90 in 22 because they probably recognize those from video, especially if they're younger. They'll recognize those. I think you're right about if you've got a couple guns that you think might be good for people that you're not going to shoot, you don't like or whatever. Yeah, man, why not paint those things? Why not rattle can them like wild zombie green and black? Just you're not going to shoot them yourself. Utilize them for something else. And like you said, I think that's absolutely something legitimate. Is hey, you should see this gun that I shot at the range. It was like zombie green.
Yeah, or
kind it is,
or that's a great place for a lever action or a single action revolver in your collection too, because it's the cowboy guns, right? Yeah. I got to shoot cowboy guns this weekend. And, they'll tell people or whatever. Well, it may be a brand new Marlin, maybe a brand new Ruger, whatever. Yeah. It ain't no cowboy, but that in their mind, that's what it looks like. It looks like what they've seen on the movies or on TV.
Absolutely. Real quick, mandatory carry $6 super chat. Thank you both. Says keep fighting. I'll catch the rerun. No problem, homie. My favorite my favorite weirdo. My favorite coastie. The only coastie I know, but definitely my favorite weirdo. My favorite guy that lives in a padded room with a straitjacket. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Real quick, Marcus, kind of funny you bring this up. Question for Kyle. Has Anderson ever thought about getting into the shotgun game? About a month or two ago, we have, if they ever are, if Kyle could ever talk the Andersons into it, it will sell more than anything that Anderson has ever produced. John, do you want to go into what you came up with? I think it's unbelievable.
So we are doing our grassroots effort, like always, to get Anderson to produce shotguns. So the Anderson Pony Express is a double barrel, double hammer, choked clover. What's the other part? 3.5-inch chamber.
3.5-inch chamber.
Was it side by side or over?
Side by side. Coach gun.
That's what I think. Yep.
18.5-inch coach gun. Called the Pony Express. For those of you who don't know, we are doing our grassroots effort to get Kyle to produce that. So anytime Anderson makes a post on Facebook, Instagram, go on all their social feeds, use hashtag Pony Express 2024. Again, hashtag Pony Express 2024 to get them to make this gun, because why not?
Yep.
Hashtag Pony Express 2024.
There you go. There you go.
Yep.
We know you're behind it. We just got to get the Andersons involved in this,
I'm totally down. I'm working on the blueprints day and night.
My hope is that
even at the Waffle House, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
My
Well,
hope that is
well,
enough people start doing this on your social feeds that the Andersons have to go to you and go, "What is this hashtag Pony Express 2024 all
why? I want you guys. All right, for everyone that's watching right now, listening, and later on, if you've made it this far, right now on your phone, go to Instagram, pull up Anderson Manufacturing, pull up any post, and make a comment. Hashtag Pony Express 2024.
I'm going to make a caveat to that. Please do not do it on their D-Day post because I feel like that's a little rude. But all other posts are open free game.
Let's go to a specific post. Let's go to the post that you guys put up about the sandstorm. How about that? Go check the sandstorm and comment hashtag Pony Express 2024. Do that right now. Do that right now. Kyle's going to have to monitor this over the next hour or so, in the next couple of days with the replays and podcasts, and see how many people actually do this. All right, I've got one more. G brought up a great topic. This could be a whole show on its own, but we're going to try to do this in 25 minutes. Okay. The question is, how do you know how to use range time effectively if you've never experienced training? Looking at all the training haters out there, piss poor practice equals piss poor performance, I'm told. I like to say that perfect practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. That's just me. Now, that said, how do I get, oh, here we go. Take that off. Now we know that there's at least one person in this room that is, I'm not saying he's a training hater, but he's definitely not on the train of being a big training supporter. That said, bringing training into range time, obviously I'm a big training guy. I just enjoy, I enjoy it. I enjoy learning new things all the time. It's fun to go and take training, but how much of getting actual like training, not going to the range and practicing with your buddies, but sending someone that's new, how important do you think going to get training right off the bat? Should they wait before they go get some training? Do you think they should go get training before they take their first shot? Like, where do you guys fall on the training side? I'm gonna go with Clover first because it's gonna be a real quick answer. He's gonna say no training.
No. I mean, it can be done at the range. Their very first trip to the range. I mean, they can get enough of what they need. Come on. It's a mechanical device. You pull the trigger, it goes boom. Like,
what I'm talking about is actually, saying you should go to a class, like an actual training class. Let's assume that you agree with that. Would you rather send them after they've been to the range a couple times and you've worked with them for the basics, or do you think they should go to like a training class before they, like, if they've never shot a gun before? Where do you fall down on that?
No, I think they need to have some basic familiarization before they ever go into some advanced type training class. But here's the thing: what are we calling training?
I'm just saying, like a handgun 101, like the basic,
right?
A basic class that's literally going to, introduce a handgun.
What if somebody's not interested in that, right? Like, what if somebody's just interested in target shooting or competition or
like
completely different
training to go into the range?
Right, completely different kind of thing. So what I think is they need everybody needs some basic, like we talked about, basic safety, basic handling, basic manipulation, basic familiarization, right? In order for them to figure out where they want to take their firearm owning journey or firearm shooting journey. Maybe they don't even want to do anything self-defense related with it. Maybe they just want to hunt and that's all they want to do. Maybe they want to get into competition with it. Maybe they want to become, whatever, Mr. Smooth operator flipping around on the hoods of the car or something. I mean, and if they want to, that's cool, right? But if they don't have some type of a baseline, how are they ever going to figure out what they want to do? And I think more importantly, they need somebody out there that is advocating for them to experiment and try some things, because we're in a wonderful community that has so many different facets of firearm ownership. And Yes, a lot of them overlap. There's many of us that do multiple things, but that doesn't mean we all have to do the same things.
I agree 100%. I am a big proponent of training. Everyone knows that about me. But I will say this. I want them to, how do I put this? I want to take someone to the range with an AR and a red dot. That's how I like to do it. Let them have fun shooting some watermelons, shooting some apples, shooting steel, whatever, having fun for a couple different times. I want, instead of saying you've got to go get training, I want them to organically figure out, maybe I want to go take some training class. I want to go take a class. I enjoy this enough now that I want to go get some instruction. I think if you do that and they want to be at that training class, they're going to get a lot more out of it. They're probably more likely to take what they've learned at that training class home with them back to their house, back to the range, and actually practice it. And instead of saying you're going to go to a training class before I even take you to the range, you know what I'm saying?
I like the way you put that, and I think that's the first time, and we've had this conversation many times. I think that's the first time you've ever used that phrase that I can recall, or at least the first time it's dawned on me. You said instruction.
Instruction, yeah.
Advanced instruction. I would like to replace the word training with advanced instruction.
That's fair.
Training,
sure. Like
training.
That. Training is a scary word to some people, maybe.
Well, it has this correlation that it's self-defense or it's
tactical,
tactical or whatever. Advanced instruction could be anything. That just depends on what you want to do. What do you want to advance in, right? And that's the type of instruction.
I didn't realize I was being profound, but I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah, good job, I think.
You and I really don't see eye to eye on a lot of training stuff. Just joking. We actually see eye to eye on a lot of it. But I think that's for me. Kyle, Ginger, where do you guys fall in on what we're talking about as far as when to send someone, or maybe when to not send them, but even bring up a class of some sort?
As far as like formal classes go, I'm not too big on that myself. I'm kind of in the realm with Clover on that. I do believe that everybody needs to learn basic fundamentals, like different shooting positions, like kneeling, prone, sitting, standing. And then one thing that I think is most important is your combat glide. So like, And then one thing that I just want to add on to what yourself and Clover said is it doesn't have to only be at the range you're training this stuff. Now, I am blessed to work for a firearm manufacturer, but everywhere I walk at work where I know not everybody's watching me or something, I'm clearing that room I'm going into. I'm clearing up the stairs. I'm clearing down the stairs. And just basically jogging those fundamentals so that it just becomes muscle memory at some point.
I'm that nerd too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Well, when he was talking, you were talking about positions and whatnot, Kyle. It's something struck me, and it's because I seen the video. I put out the Tech 9 video last week or whatever, right? Yep. And I was using the sling. It's a big pistol, big pistols and slings go
almost
together.
It's like a single point sling.
So
like you would,
I guess
those that aren't familiar with that.
I guess if you don't have a brace, right, use a sling. But I guess this video popped up, and the channel has a huge following. I couldn't remember the channel. I've really never heard of them before, but it was a Tech 9 video, and they were holding it like a regular pistol, the 2-hand grip on the grip with the, and I'm like, you morons, like put a sling. It's got sling attachment points on it for a freaking reason. It's big, it's heavy. You're supposed to use it with a sling. So I just wanted to interject that with when Kyle was talking about learning different positions and stuff. Also learn like when to use slings and when to use supporting devices and things like that.
Love that. And if you're going to use a sling, learn how to use that sling.
Correct.
Hell, Kyle, I can't even count how many hours that we did nothing but sling work, and that's great because now you can work a sling in so many different ways. And absolutely, I agree. Learn when and how to use support whether it's a sling, whether it's a stock or a brace or whatever you're going to use. Absolutely. That's a great point. I think, go ahead, John, you were going to say something. Yeah. Before I move on.
Yeah. So basically, when you're teaching somebody, you're giving them basic instruction. And what I would do is I'd teach them, and then most of the time they were doing this to go to get their concealed carry permit for the state of Ohio. So what I would recommend is go, hey, there's a basic instruction class for that you need to meet the recommended hours for the concealed carry. Why don't you go take that, learn a little bit about that? It's a fundamentals class. And then if they want more advanced instruction, then go to that. But I'm with you. I do a lot of side training, and I do it because I learn a lot of techniques that I may not have known if I didn't take those classes. So like I did a vehicle fundamental class. Well, if I'm concealed carrying and I have that issue, if someone's coming up in I learn how to draw from a vehicle, draw from a seated position, how to use that vehicle for my advantage. And I know you two, Kyle, and yourself and Chase, who just hopped in, had some more advanced instruction. But those are the things that I'm looking for. Is going, okay, well, I want more advanced instructions. Like even the long range thing. Like I didn't know how to get into long range, so I took a basic long range class. That's basic instruction. There's nothing advanced about. I mean, I guess you would say it's more advanced than what you would do on a normal range trip, but that learning those things, and then a good you guys know Kurt took a class with Jaeger, and he was in class. He goes, that's not the way I do things. He goes, you're at my class, that's how you're going to do it here. If you go home and say, I don't like the way you taught me that's fine, but here I'm going to teach you this specific way because this is how I teach. And now he's like, oh, now I understand why we did it this way.
Exactly.
And then learning from different instructors, there's things that I've learned that are just like small touching points that I'm like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or, why would I do it this way when I've been doing this way my whole life? And then, I don't like the way they're doing it. So I come out with my own opinion, but I'm also learning everything I want to learn.
So to piggyback on John a little bit, right? What you were talking about, and I get quite a few grown-ups that'll come to me and they're taking the CHL, right, for here in Texas. And we'll go through some basics and I'll let them play around with some firearms or whatever. And they always ask for a recommendation. Now I can send them to somebody that teaches the CHL that is just a dude in the Pizza Hut side room that does the 4 hours, goes out to the range, he teaches the curriculum, they shoot, he signs off on it, and they're done, right? But I don't. I tell them, I'm honest with them. I'm like, there's a lot of people that can teach you the Texas CHL. They can do that. Here's the one I recommend and why. And it's a buddy I've got, and he does a full spectrum of training. And I've taken some stuff actually with him, but he does a full spectrum of training, including the Guardian and the Marshal program for the schools here in Texas.
Nice.
He's like accredited even for that. So long range, all types of stuff. And I say he's the best one to go to. And here's why. Because he's going to incorporate things that you're not going to get elsewhere, first of all. And that will open your mind to potential other trainings that he does that you might be interested in taking and pursuing those avenues, right? So it's like I'm not discouraging anybody, and I never tell anybody to just go and get it done just to get it done. I'd rather them go to somebody that I know is doing it right.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there's a lot, I don't know about other states, but unfortunately here in Texas, there's some people that are basically, they're just signing off on this stuff. And I don't like that.
Yeah, it was the same thing in Ohio. When I was teaching CCW or CHL for Ohio, I'd teach the class and go, hey, if you're interested in this, we have more advanced classes you can take. And I get maybe 1% who'd want to. Most of them are just there to get the paper signed off on and do their thing.
That's it. A couple things. I think it was John that was bringing up. I love CQB. I love doing stuff. You're talking about vehicle stuff. A class that I would recommend for someone, especially if you're kind of new to the training sphere of everything. If you're gonna, be in your car and you're gonna carry everything in your car, or you have a truck gun, I would go take some vehicle defense training, because if you've never experienced shooting from a car or into a car or whatever, you're not going to quite, especially shooting from inside a car out where there's someone's trying to. Now, if you're looking at the side windows, you're going to be fine. But people don't understand how angles and all of that with a curved windshield and how thick some of those windshields are going to affect the projectile. Plus, it's just fun as hell to shoot some glass out of a car. But people also, you don't understand. There's only about, Kyle, help me out on this. There's only about 3 or 4 points on a vehicle that are actually going to save you from, like, a car door is not going to stop a bullet. You're talking engine block. You're talking between the driver and the back seat, that basically the safety bar that holds up that's a good spot. You can be there. There's only a handful of places that are on a car that you should only ever try to get cover behind, because everything else is not going to stop a bullet. But you don't know that unless you go through that training, and then another thing is also, someone brought up low light. If you're going to carry and you're going to carry a gun with a light, I don't particularly like lights on my carry guns, but if you're going to, even if it's a self-defense gun and you're going to have a light on it and you think, well, worst case scenario, I have this light, and you've never really worked with a light, go get some low light training, because I think you'll be surprised at how in a low light situation, how do you put this? How you're not going to use your weapons mounted light very often. You shouldn't, because your eyes are going to naturally have that natural night vision. And yes, you want to have a light to identify, but if you got that light on the whole time, one, your night vision's gone. You've taken that advantage away from yourself. And two, you're giving up your position. But if you've never really worked with weapons mounted lights and you plan on carrying either the handgun or AR or whatever with the weapon mounted light, I suggest go get some instruction on how to utilize that light the proper way. That's just me. Kind of go through the room. We got a few minutes here. What's up, Chase? How you doing, buddy? I know you've had a long day, homie.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it after, but me and American Airlines are seeing eye to eye right now.
I would imagine. Kyle, we're not doing the closing yet. We still got some time. What I want to do is, if you could suggest a training class or an instruction, like one that you think that everyone should get, do you have that kind of class that you suggest that is like the one that you would send everybody to?
I guess Paris Island would be mine. Like that.
Okay, that's fair. That's where I learned to shoot guns. Was I mean, I wouldn't say Paris Island. I'd say probably San Diego, but I understand what you're saying. You don't go to Paris Island with those peasants. Come out to the West Coast and hang out with us.
And don't go to Paris, because all they're going to teach you to do is wave a white flag. So
this is true.
No sense in that.
Yeah. I was not expecting that, but join the Marine Corps. That might be the greatest firearm training experience you'll ever have, for sure. That's a great one. Actually.
That's a great opportunity, and I'm not very familiar with all these training courses out there, just to be honest.
I understand. Ginger, is there a training course that you take in that you would suggest to people if they haven't taken one? This is the one you got to go to, or maybe even an instructor. Maybe not a type of class, but is there an instructor out there that you think, man, if you've got go see them?
I have an instructor and I have a kind of a class, but there's a class. If you're going to be carrying, I would definitely take a basic holster drawing class just so you learn the fundamentals of that. I'd like to shout out my buddy Fred Masterson. For people who are in the industry, Fred. Fred's a great guy. Fred does Kyle, you need to go to his class up there in he'll be in Hamilton for his vehicle tactics. You should go check him out there. Hamilton.
That'd be awesome. That'd be
cool. Fred does a vehicle class, tactics class. He does a CQB class, a kind of defensive carry class where, if he teaches you pressure points and things like that, which may sound weird, but if you're reaching and someone's trying to grab your stuff,
you gotta.
It's things like that. So Fred is Force Options USA. Go check him out. Highly recommend him. He starts off.
Put the link out there while you're talking. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Force Options USA. He starts you off like you know nothing. So I love going to his class because I go in there fresh start, like I knew nothing. Even though I've taken so many classes from him, I know how to draw a gun. But he starts off with the fundamentals, and then we work our way out. So it's an advanced class, but it's also a basic class at the same time. So you're going from the fundamentals all the way up. So I highly recommend taking Fred's class. He's got that. The long range class I took from him was great. If you want that, it is a haul. It is in Idaho, but it is such a beautiful drive and such a beautiful range. So that's my shout out for Fred. Love the guy. Known him for years. He's probably one of the best instructors.
Very good people. Very good people. Yeah, for sure. Clover, is there a class or maybe an instructor that you would like to? I mean, I know you're kind of in Kyle's boat where,
so
not necessarily into that, but
no. I've taken some. I've had to take in quite a few, and in the guise of instruction, which is what you said earlier, right? Like I even am an instructor. So, but the best one I took, and granted, you got to take this with the right person. There are people that go the extra mile with their training, and there are people that they have a little curriculum and they go by that, and that's all they do, right? So first, I would say seek out, get some feedback from other people when you're looking at an instructor. Is that somebody that goes that extra mile? They get into nuance. They get into adjacent things, right? They're not just there for the few hours to collect a paycheck. And with that, range safety officer training that I took,
I think RSO is awesome.
Absolutely phenomenal. It incorporated not just medical related stuff, like things that you need in your med bag, how to do that, how to control the scene in a medical emergency environment, that sort of stuff, which I already had some of that with volunteer fire department for years previous, but also like watching people, situational awareness type thing, right? Like what are little tells that this person is about to do this or that, was incorporated into that class. It wasn't just range design and range is hot, range is cold, and goofy where targets go and crap like that. And a lot of people may think that range safety officer, like that's what it's about. If you go to somebody that's good, it's going to incorporate a lot of different elements that even if you're never an active RSO on a range, you're going to be a lot safer and a lot comfortable on pretty much any range you walk onto.
I love that. Is something that I wish more people be more advocates about is remember, everyone's an RSO. If you're at a range, everyone's an RSO.
Safety is everybody's responsibility.
Well learn how to be an actual RSO and take that responsibility. But remember, if you're by yourself on the range, you're an RSO to yourself. It is what it is. I that's a great. You don't hear people when you talk about training classes. You don't hear people talking about RSO classes. I think that's fantastic. Wow, Clover, you impressed me tonight. What the hell? I don't know. Yeah, good job. Chase, any classes or instructors that you'd like to mention that you think that people should look into?
I mean, I'm not going to call out specific instructors because there's a ton of good ones out there.
Yeah.
Just my advice is vet who you're going with. Don't just grab the first dude on Facebook or Instagram or, whatever website that says he's the greatest thing ever. But beyond that, I would say, like what John was saying, a good basic like handgun fundamentals class, because 99% of people who are going to carry a firearm are going to carry a handgun. Beyond that, I would say a vehicle ops.
Yep.
If you're going to carry something that puts holes in things, you bleeding out of holes of things.
That's what I was going to say. Stop the bleed And basic first aid, I would say everyone in the world, much less if you're going to have a firearm, needs to stop the bleed. Because here's the thing, even people that are not wanting to carry a handgun, if you're in that active shooter situation or self-defense, you can still be
well, if you're in a car wreck or something, or a scene of an accident, whatever.
Absolutely.
You have those ability.
Yep. Stop the bleed. Absolutely. A trauma class, a basic first aid, CPR, all of those are incredible. And here's the thing about those, you can get almost all the time those for free. Most hospitals or EMT stations or anything like that, they give monthly classes out for free. They want people to learn those skills.
The RSO training I went to included, and this guy has a lot of instructors in his group, right? But it included CPR and accredited CPR and first aid training, or outdoor. They called it outdoor first aid training.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is great.
It included that in the class. So yeah.
I wish more people would do that. Absolutely. Yeah. For me, I think that I'm not going to go anyone. I will say that we lost, whether or not people like him publicly or not. We lost one of the greatest instructors ever recently, and James Yeager. And I was fortunate to go train with James, and actually, I would call him a friend. I'm glad I got to see him at Range Day. Was that last year when he was there? Little did I know that I was going to be the last time I saw him. But we lost James. You can say what you want to about James, and I've said a lot. I'm still to a point where, a lot of the shenanigans and all that stuff he did on YouTube. But I'll tell you what, I respected him as a trainer because he took it very seriously. One thing that I will say, and all the great ones, the Costas, the Jaegers of the world, all these guys that are world renowned as firearms instructors, they all have one thing in common. And this is talking, I can't remember who it was talking about it. And they said, make sure that you're kind of filtering who you're going to. Don't just find the first Yahoo on Facebook or whatever. I tell people all the time, if you're serious about taking some instructional classes, find out who that instructor goes and takes training from. If they don't go and train with someone else and they think that they don't need any more, run from that person. Immediately run. They should be going to take classes from someone and always looking to improve their skills and their knowledge base. If they don't, run for the hills immediately. Go ahead, Clove.
Well, I was just going to say, you're talking about there's so many, what Shay said about good instructors out there. I think, and I don't know, you was down there as well with me, but Charlie has got to be one of the most underrated, I think, instructors that are out there. And maybe I just feel that way. Maybe he's not, because his pedigree is legit.
His pedigree is a Navy SEAL sniper. Was Chris Kyle, the American Snipers instructor in sniper school, has had the world record at over 5,000 yards of a shot, and all that. But yes, you're right. I think when you're talking, if you want to learn long range, he can teach it all. He can teach close quarter combat. He can teach handgun. He can teach obviously the long range. We got to witness him teaching some guys with long range. And you're right, Clover. What I loved about the way Charlie did it is he never assumed that you knew what he was talking about.
Yep.
Like he never tried to use terminology that a beginner may not understand. And if he did this, he's like, here's what I mean by that. He was incredibly patient. Incredibly patient.
And it made it easy. He made it so easy, from the lodging to the meals to the travel to the.
It's all right there. And by the way, if you ever had a chance for him to eat his food,
100%.
it's worth the price of admission just for him to cook for you. Clover Could he not be a world-class shelf if he wanted to?
Oh, I guarantee you. Yeah.
Oh,
guarantee you.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah. No, Charlie's a great one. Tonto does a lot of good stuff with active shooter training. And that's a kind of a cool thing. But yeah, there are so many great instructors out there, but I would say if you don't know these, the five of us in this room are very lucky to know a lot of these instructors personally. So we can, by experience, say, I would trust sending anyone to XYZ person. We know them. They're going to be great. You know, go take a long range class up in Clint. You know, go see Thunder Ranch before it sells off. Or I don't even think Clint's teaching anymore, really. But I mean, we know these guys. But for someone who doesn't know anyone, and you're looking to find an instructor, find out who they go train with. Find out, do they go train? Do they go take classes themselves? I think for me, that's an important thing.
How long have they been doing it? What is their pedigree?
That's
and
right.
then get feedback from other people. And even if you contact them, if you contacted an instructor and you said, hey, do you have any, alumni that I could potentially talk with? And they're not willing to pass your information on to people at the very least. Now I get them giving you somebody's number. I understand that. But if they don't say, yeah, I'll pass your number on to some people and they'll call you,
or hey, here's a Facebook group of alumni.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Go check this out. You can find some people here or there or whatever. Yeah. I mean, you gotta be careful with that for sure. Yeah.
Yep. I think to a certain extent, anyone, whether you're an instructor or not, everyone, if you're going to be in the firearm world, you need to always continue to look to improve your skills, improve your knowledge, however you want to do that,
Well, it's like I said, I know people like to teach the CHL here in Texas. Once upon a time, you pretty much had to be retired military or retired law enforcement officer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing, but there was that requirement, right? And the school, to be honest, it used to be a whole week in Austin. I think they've cut that down now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because that lessens the quality of the instructor, in my opinion. But there are people that will go and get an NRA certification or something like that. And here's the thing. If you have somebody out there and they go and get an NRA, let's just say NRA basic handgun instructor certification, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say they get that from a crappy instructor that just signs off on some junk, right? And they haven't even done a course. Maybe they've done 2 or 3. Like, is that somebody that you really want to go to at least your first time out?
Let me give everyone out there that might be new to this world, and I didn't want to go down the training rabbit hole, but I love it talking about it. But for the people that are new to the training world, the instruction world, and this is not a knock on them, but this is the reality. Most instructors that are out there, the first thing they're going to lead with is, I'm an NRA certified instructor.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit. I'll be honest with you.
Depending on who you took it from, where
that's,
you got that from.
Yeah. But don't just say, oh, he's NRA certified, he must be. Not so much. Do some more digging. If the only thing on their bio is NRA certified instructor, I'd probably run for the hills as well. That's just me. Yeah. Without finding out any information, all that. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. I would say, reach out to me, any of the guys on this panel. I'm sure that anyone would be willing out there. If you have a question on classes or whatever, reach out. I'll send you in the right direction, and I'll give you a few names to go look at and all of that.
And close, right? Like if there's anybody in Texas or in Eastern Texas looking for somebody in Eastern Texas, I know we don't have to. You talk big names, sure. But I know 2 or 3 that are solid as can be, and they're not Clint's or Jaegers or whoever,
absolutely,
right? But they're solid, and you don't got to travel that far if you live in this area.
And the only reason why they're not the Clint's and Jaegers of the world is maybe because they haven't gotten to that point yet. People don't know about them. They might be better than Jaeger.
It's more so they haven't put time into those aspects of social media to blow them up that way. Let's be honest. Like,
So
if Jaeger didn't do YouTube,
brought the Godfather. I had to mention.
Oh my God,
Mr. Ayub is the Godfather of instruction. Just listening to his soft, sexy, deep voice would be enough for me. Just saying. Masad is the OG. Masad, to me, is the Godfather.
And probably not that way if you're training with him. I don't know.
Probably not.
Unfortunately, never trained with him.
Haven't
but one
either.
of the funniest dudes ever if you're just sitting around having a conversation. Holy crap, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially with that voice and that dry.
Because you look at him, and if you've ever seen a picture of him, you would never expect that voice to come from Masad Ayub, you know?
Right. And he's so menacing. Like, everybody knows Masad Ayub, and the first time you have a chance to actually just sit down and shoot the bull with him while you're smoking, you know what I mean? It's like, it's amazing because
nothing like I thought you were going to be.
He's like, he's got this persona like Zeus sitting on top of Olympus, right?
Right.
But then you sit down and have a smoke. He's just another dude that, you know, is doing his thing. You know,
it was like when we were talking with Jerry Flick, a couple years ago for 45 minutes. You're like, that's like the greatest shooter of all time. And we sat there for an hour talking, and we were talking about revolvers he had when he was 9. You know, I mean, it was hilarious.
And reloading and stuff. He's just a Louisiana boy, man.
That's Louisiana, all it is. Basically, it's what it is.
That's it.
I had fun with this. This is a fun. I know that you know, the training thing kind of got there for a little last half hour, but I could go. I could have a month-long discussion on training. I just enjoy it. But thanks for doing that, Kyle. I want to give you a few minutes and talk Anderson. Maybe we talked about the Cerakote project, but I know there's a lot of things going on. I know you are just crazy right now. I want you to give as much time as you talk about what you guys are going on and what may be coming down the line.
Yeah, I'm not going to drag it out too long. Like we mentioned earlier, just definitely go check out the Sandstorm. Might be your cup of tea. And again, it's a Cerakote set. We the People just dropped their Kiger holsters, so go check out We the People. If you got a Kiger.
Thank God somebody did with all the questions that every time there's a new gun, it's like, the holsters. It's like 99% of the questions you get. It's annoying.
Yep. So We the People's got you covered if you got a Kiger. Other than that, hey, just keep an eye out because we got some big things coming down the pipes within the next couple of weeks. So,
hey, and don't forget #Pony Express.
I'm typing it right now. Actually, that's what I was doing while you were talking.
We've got to have the double barrel, double hammer, a double trigger, 3.5-inch chamber, 12 gauge Coach shotgun. The Pony Express.
Hey, this time next year it'll probably be a thing. Let's just be honest.
I hope so. For all of our sakes. I think that you guys would make a ton of money selling them, and there'd be a ton of people that would be just more than happy to have
I need first shot. Well, no, I'll give Ginger first shot at serial number 0001.
That's right.
But I at least need 0002. Just saying.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do it.
I think Kyle might get 002, bro. I'm just saying.
Well, okay. I need a single digit. I at least need a single digit serial number. Just saying.
I want 007.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there.
We'll have to do a Clover Tax Cerakote on it.
Oh, God, don't do that.
That'd be nasty.
It would be nasty, like in a bad way.
It would be very nasty. Yeah.
Real quick, Kyle, G23 says, can the Kiger use a Glock 19 holster?
Yes, it can.
Glock 19 Gen 3 holster, correct?
Yes.
Or any Glock 19 holster.
The Gen 3.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, you got a lot of things coming down the line. Looking forward to a lot of it. And I know you guys are busy. I know that you guys are really having a great year. And man, I'm really happy for that. But yeah, check out AndersonManufacturing.com for sure. I want to bring Chase in. I know that he just came in, he just landed, and he's been busy. But I do want to give you a few minutes. You guys, speaking of having a busy year as well, crazy busy at EAA. So what you got going on there? Hot yoga might be behind you there, John. Just saying. There you go.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, it was.
He does not want the hot yoga jokes tonight. Can't imagine why.
No, I wonder why. I know you guys have been busy. You've got the high power came out last year. The announced the Witness 2311 and the MC 14T, the tip up barrel. Crazy going on. What are maybe some updates on everything that's going on right now?
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not that crazy of a year.
Yeah, you're right. You guys have just had a very slow year.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're cranking out, high powers are in full rate production. We're cranking out a bunch of special makeups now for some different distributors. A lot of that going on. 14T is shipping. It's doing real well right now. We actually just shipped the first of the black with the gold accents, just shipped the first of the gold guns. So, the gold members out there floating around now. Actually shipped a small batch of this sangria. So
really?
The colors are floating around. All the standard stuff, black, dark earth, two-tone, that's all out. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've got something new and cool, but I can't talk about it till later. There's even like an NDA and everything on this.
Wow!
Come on, Chase. You can't.
I know.
Omar still works for you. Y'all are screwed.
It'll get leaked early, no, for sure.
Yeah,
that's freaking amazing.
I'm waiting for that to get out.
He didn't even know what an NDA was. So
there
you go.
I had to explain it, but I'm not going to explain how I explained it on the air. We'll talk about that later.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
2311s. Everything's a go on those. All the little headaches are finally out of the way. So probably
that's nice to hear.
Yep. So into the summer,
can really screw up some things if they get involved, can't they?
Man, between the government, multiple agencies, and then trying to get stuff shipped overseas to produce it, it's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go see our friends next week, so that'll be. I can ask them, and
yes,
I can talk to them face to face and ask them stupid
questions. He's going to be in DC with the boys next week.
So
he's going to have himself a barbecue.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear my Waco Memorial Barbecue shirt. See how they like it.
And make sure you leave your dog at home.
Leave your dog at home.
Oh, that was one of the first questions, like in this forum we're in, to go through it.
Can we bring
There's the guy, I won't name what company he works for, but
no service dogs.
And he's like, so I have a service dog. Like, in all seriousness, is it going to be okay?
What was the answer?
I was like, you are my hero. They're like, oh, yeah, we're service animal friendly. The venue is too. We're like, he's like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
Oh, my God. That is great. Is he going to be okay? Will he survive? Will he make the return flight home?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
But yeah, so I get to see several agencies all together. It's gonna be a good time.
Yay!
This thing's big. You got ATF, Department of State, like all that's together. It's good. It's real fun.
FBI gonna be there?
No, this is all like for imports, exports.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. That's even worse.
Well, it gets real fun because you've got all these different industries get together. Like all the defense industry stuff has to go to it too, because like take SpaceX for example, they launch a rocket. Well, a rocket is considered a space launch vehicle,
and it's a munition.
It's a munition. It's on the munitions list. It's actually technically an NFA because it's larger than it's a firearm basically that's larger than 50 cal. There's all kinds of silliness that goes into this stuff.
Yeah, that's insane. We'll talk after the show's over for sure. Yeah. Ginger, who you plugging tonight, big boy?
Oh, Kyle said Sandstorm, so I've just been rocking out in my head for the last 10 minutes.
No kidding, bro. Like that song, like man, like everyone knows Sandstorm, right? Like everyone, whether you know it or not, you know Sandstorm. But yeah, who you plugging tonight? You got
So,
anything going on?
like usual, Southeastern Guide Dogs. I am plugging them again. Nonprofit organization out of Tampa Bay, Florida, doing the God's work on getting dogs to our service vets who need them. So there is an event coming up, and I'm looking at it. I had it written down, and now I lost it.
The second event, right? This year.
This is the second
last month or earlier this or last month, wasn't it? Yeah, it was last month.
it was last month. So the second event is, hold please, is going to be July 15th in Medina, Ohio. Again, that's going to be at Havana's Choice Cigar in Medina, Ohio, July 15th, with more information to come. And that is to support. So last event, we raised enough money to support a dog. So we're going to hopefully raise enough money again to get another dog sponsored so that another person can get that. This isn't cheap, guys. It's about $25,000 to sponsor one of these dogs between training and food and everything. So
easily, yeah.
So just, if you can, go to Southeastern Guide Dogs, go check them out, go donate there, do everything you can. If you want to go to the event, if you're in Ohio or want to make the trek out to Medina, Ohio, which if you do, it's great on you because there's really not much in Medina, Ohio, but it's
great golf course there.
Oh yeah, I think this one's not too far from Firestone.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this event is going to be not too far from Firestone. So go check it out. It's a great time. You get to meet Bobby Newman from Jason Newman Cigars, and there's a ton of giveaways, a ton of auction items, free cigars, you name it. There is a fee to get in, and that's all to support these guys. So go check that out. And as always, since Clover stole my thunder, hashtag Pony Express 2024 is our grassroots marketing campaign to get Anderson to make a double barrel coach gun.
You're a daisy if you don't. Just saying. I changed it there. You see that? I did that. All right, bitch. It's your turn. Are you planning on doing anything? If you are, like, where can people find you?
Yeah, well, that's good. But first of all, this was kind of cool. We went from polls to range talk to training.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost like a Ghost and Clover podcast.
It was, and it was almost as fluid as a Ghost and Clover. Which I don't like, because I don't like this being fluid, but it was actually like 3 separate segments, and it was good.
And if people missed the one Sunday night, it was pretty off the chain.
It's the best one yet, I think. I was going to say this. I don't know if it's the best one yet. That's up to the person who's listening. It was my favorite one so far.
Yeah. It was some pretty good topics. There was a lot of participation from the live chat. It was jumping. So go check that out first if you haven't already. I dropped a Father's Day gift idea video earlier. So
you did.
We got about 2 weeks roughly, or a little under 2 weeks.
2 weeks from yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday.
So complete.
Sunday, I should say. This Tuesday. 2's from Sunday.
Yeah. 10 things under $20. So if you haven't picked out something for Daddy-O there, get on, do some, the idea list is down in the description below. So jump in there, pick up something less than $20, and guarantee you any of those 10, if he is a firearm owner, he will be happy with them. I can almost assure you.
Real quick, I'm going to let Kyle acknowledge this if he wants to. DPM out there says Kiger is supposed to be an improved Glock, but all dimensions are almost identical. Dimensions have nothing to do with being improved. The dimensions are the dimensions. What's improved are probably the materials, how it's put together, different things like that. Do you want to? I'm going to give you a couple of minutes with the floor to address DPM if you want about the Kiger.
I mean, if it is fully compatible with Glock 19 Gen 3 aftermarket components and parts. So, I mean, but I can't speak too much on this for legal reasons, but it's an awesome compact handgun there.
Compact handgun that It's Glock 19 holsters. So
Yep.
Great.
I do want to add on to that too. The Kiger 9C Pro does not, because of suppressor height sights.
Oh yeah, sure.
But-
Yep. I didn't think about that, but yeah. For us, like I said, got some cool stuff coming down the line. Been like doing some recording and getting out to the range and doing some cool stuff. So it's been nice to get back to the range a couple different times. I'm not gonna lie, I missed it. It's been a long spring, early summer, but looking forward to that. Got some stuff coming out the next couple of weeks that are gonna be amazing. Be on the lookout. Get some really cool stuff coming down in a couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that. As far as the Ghost and Clover podcast, go check that out. If you want to listen to it, you can go to Clover's or my podcast feeds, or you can go over to the Ghost and Clover YouTube channel and watch it there. I suggest doing that because you'll get to see how awesome the side chat was during the show, and you can kind of keep up with that.
Yeah.
So it was really, 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 really a fun chat. We'll be coming back 2 weeks from this previous Sunday. So we do it every other Sunday at 8 Central. That is brought to you by EAA. So go check that out. And the random topic portion is brought to you by Taurus. The cool thing about it is if you show up live and you just say anything in the chat throughout the chat, you might get chosen for the third segment. You get the someone in the crowd will actually get to randomly pick the last topic. It's always been fun. Had a great one this week. HVS had bushcraft, which kind of like was awesome, but I wasn't expecting it. It was great.
Right.
EAA, European American Army. You've heard of Gerson. EAA is the importer of Gerson. Everyone's heard of Gerson. So if you're looking for EAAcorp.com, go check out all the amazing stuff that Chase is with EAA. Kyle is with Anderson EAA. So we got a couple industry guys in here that are awesome they're friends of mine, but go check out both their company, AndersonManufacturing.com and EAAcorp.com as well. So go check them. IFG now?
No. EAA has been around forever.
No.
EAA used to import Tanfoglio.
Yep.
Yeah, and IFG does now. So that's the confusion he's having.
He probably assumes that it's Tanfoglio. Yeah.
Too, so it's a little. Yeah. The IFG models are a different frame than what we did.
Yep. Right. Yeah. They're not the same. Correct.
2.5 damn hours. Holy shit. Did we really go for 2.5? Okay. All right. Thanks guys for watching. We have landed safely. So on behalf of the Ghost Tactical Airlines, we'd like to be the first ones to welcome you to hell. We appreciate you. Thank you to our stewardesses thank you for John for taking care of the food service. Kyle for just looking pretty, taking care of all of that. The drink services, food services. Chase, he probably doesn't want to see another plane for a while. And Clover was my co-pilot, so roger that. Roger that.
I'll say to everybody, what happens on YouTube stays on YouTube. Have a good weekend.
That's true. That's right. All right, boys and girls, we'll see you next week. Semper Fi.